Hey folks, this episode of the podcast was recorded at the studio at Sunbeams, part of the Annie Mawson's Sunbeams Music Trust. For more information on their work with special needs adults and children, go to sunbeamsmusic.org. Hey folks, welcome to Behind the Noise with me, your host, Marc Farquhar. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We've had an awesome response after our return in the previous episode, after a year away. It's good to be back. Yes, some of you did comment that there's no video this time. There's no video for this episode today. We're in the process of upgrading our setup. It should return. I reckon it'll be back for the next episode, if not definitely the one after. But yeah, we're changing things. We're getting things sorted in the studio. We'll be back with the video stronger than ever. Anyway, on to today's episode. Let me start off by asking you a question. When was the last time you went to your local independent cinema? So I'm not talking about your big chain super mega iPlex. I'm just talking about, your small cinema that you've got in town. The reason I ask is because my guests today run my local cinema. I've known those guys before. I've known them for quite a while. They've been on the show, as it turns out, 4 years ago. But things have changed. Very tough times for the entertainment industry, venues of all kinds, cinemas, music venues, as our previous episode highlighted. They're all struggling, rising costs, limited guests through the door. COVID's affected things. We get into all that, but yeah, I really wanted to get those guys in and get to the crux of the situation, and I feel we did do that in this episode. Diversifying. How bad really is it? Things that they're trying. Feedback from customers. We have some highs and some lows. It's serious. It's hilarious. From the sublime to the ridiculous. It's all in there. It's such a funny episode. Yeah, it's a 2-hour episode, but it just flies by. I think you guys will really enjoy this. So please enjoy my conversation with Mr. Matt Bainbridge and Andrew Elliot.
Break the fourth wall and just...
Take it, we're rolling.
Yeah.
Right, recording, there you go.
Yeah.
What did you love about your job, apart from getting to see all the latest films? What's the best parts of your job?
That.
Popcorn.
I mean, you've hit the nail on the head. That is the best part of it. But it's also a bit of a curse because there's a need sometimes that we have to see the big films ahead of everyone because people come down those big steps at the end of the film and discuss what they've seen.
Yeah.
And I will not spoil this for anybody, and I won't even mention the film so people can't work it out. But I was literally about to go in and watch a film that we'd had for a week, and I was going to go watch it with an audience. And a gentleman came in, and I thought, the film's got 2 minutes before it starts. I'll just serve this gentleman first. And he came in and he said, I was in yesterday. I said, oh, really? What did you see? And he named the film. And without hesitation, he told me the ending. And my jaw dropped. I was like,
wow.
I'd missed every spoiler, and I'm about to go in and watch that. But I couldn't
quite a lot.
I couldn't believe it. As if he'd just say the ending.
But maybe he assumed that you would have seen it.
Yeah, he might have done, but you can't assume that. That's great. I've got 2 kids. I don't have the freedom I used to have. He doesn't know that, but anyway, I wouldn't just blurt out the ending of any film to anyone. That's crackers.
No, it happens, quite often, really.
So you feel like pressure to see it quick before. Yeah.
Especially the bigger thing, especially something that is going to be spoiled. Just people are excited coming out of a film, just want to talk about it.
It's going to be online everywhere, and everywhere you look, it's going to be,
Yeah.
But I think film is probably the best
banter with your customers as well. You get some good,
we do have a lot of good banter. Some people just come in, maybe want to buy a coffee and sit on the sofa and talk to us about stuff. But someone's been in tonight just talking to me about Super Mario Brothers. So yeah, people are happy. People are happy just to come and have a chat with us.
Because obviously, we were talking about before, it was 4 years since you were last here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you'd both been here then, I think you said 10, 12 years at the time, 2019, so we're 4 years later.
Yeah.
So how long have we been here now?
Look
at this. It's that long that you can't remember. I have no idea.
I started in 2009.
I was 2008.
There
I was
we go.
Just before. So,
okay.
So how long's that? 15 years. Well,
Yeah.
in October for me, it'll be 15 years.
Oh yeah, I think I started in October as well.
All right.
There we go. So, yeah, we've gone.
We've done a few miles.
Yeah, are we the longest serving staff members?
No.
Oh no, sorry,
There is Angela. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's three of us who are still.
What's the name of the guy who owns the place?
Alan Towers.
Right, yeah. I've read about him because he doesn't do interviews and stuff, does he? He doesn't really. He's not a media
No,
person.
he's no, I don't know if he'd be terribly keen on sitting and discussing these things, to be honest.
He does do kind of. I think more recently, especially, he's been kind of doing. So he works in Annan, so that's where the other cinema is, and he goes and does kind of talks with school kids or kind of older people about the cinema and about running the cinema for how many years. So he does kind of do.
Because you guys have got the Alhambra in Keswick.
No,
So that isn't. Are you not?
used to be.
Well, it used to be.
Yeah, but no, not anymore.
So that gone.
It's still there, but it's independently run now.
Oh, I see. Right.
Different.
So when did that happen?
Oh, that was. Oh, would that be about 7 years ago or something like that?
Yeah, it
Maybe
sounds
more.
right. You've got to stop asking me about time, because the whole the problem is that
This conversation is over.
the COVID years have ruined my understanding of time.
It's like when you forget a day and your week's all gone.
Yeah,
You do that with years.
Because for me personally, although the cinema was open various times during the gaps in COVID, but for me, I was off work and furloughed for 13 months.
Were you the same?
No, you were in more.
Yeah, you kind of stayed away for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of patchy where you come in and do bits and pieces.
Yeah.
I was there since it reopened, basically during the whole time. Obviously, we had, was it 3 months off the first time without being open?
Yeah, maybe
3 months where we were closed.
Don't ask him about time.
No.
I don't know why you brought him.
There was like a sort of, it was like 3 or 4 months, then back on, and then there was a single month, and then there was another 5 months. But when we were back on, I personally wasn't, like, I was still kept off, just so we kept staffing down.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that has really messed with my concept of how long I've actually been in that cinema.
Yeah, we've talked to lots of people, and it's like you almost have to delete 2 years.
Yeah,
which throws your whole timeline off, doesn't
Yeah.
it? You're like, did we do that? And I was like, because 2019 we did this. The next year we had COVID. So
Yeah.
It's such a blur. I feel like
I always feel like the whole thing's a blur. It just
even thinking
Yeah.
back to kind of when we were in, what we were doing, kind of. I remember the time just as we closed down with the cinema, when we kind of got the notice that we'd already seen numbers.
I was going to ask you.
really
Yeah, people were getting a bit concerned and sort of
Yes.
cautious, weren't they?
Yeah, the last kind of 2 weeks, we just saw things go down to
Yeah.
really, really low numbers, and then we were told to close, and then we tried to kind of keep conversation going, I guess, around the cinema.
What did you do?
We had the thing where people could rent a film and watch it at home, and then part of the cost would come to us, basically.
Oh, I see,
what was that
right.
called?
That was Modern Films who did that, so they're a distributor.
Was that so? I digitally rent the film.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But it was more kind of indie film world cinema.
Okay, yeah.
But
people had so much time that they would market for it.
Well,
Yes,
that's it. There was
yeah.
more time to access it. We also did the Isolation Film Club as well, which ran for maybe a few weeks until furlough started becoming a thing. Then we realised, we can't do that because it's attached to the cinema.
Okay. So was that just like low numbers really spread out?
No, that was actually so it was all online. So everyone was in
I
lockdown.
see,
So we
right.
set up this Isolation Film Club, and it was kind of film recommendations every week. So where to stream them online, where to see them.
I see.
Then also have a bit of a discussion. But we also did, like the Netflix kind of party drop-in where everyone can join, watch it together, and then have a chat. That went, but all of us at the cinema kind of kept in really like regular contact with each other.
Well, we did a weekly film club just with the staff. So we'd all be on Facebook Messenger, and we'd watch a film that we could all access. So it was usually some tripe that someone had put on YouTube, and tripe is the word for some of what we watched. But the crapper the film, the better, because it was all about us interacting with each other and all the messages we'd be sending at the same time watching it. But that was fun.
Yeah, that was. I guess that would be kind of a continuation of the podcast a little bit as well.
In a way, but just between us.
Yeah.
But there was a couple of good things we watched.
Yeah, no, well,
I can't name any of them.
There was some absolute trash. We watched the Star Wars Holiday Special, which was...
did.
I didn't know about that.
Do you not know about the Star Wars Holiday Special?
No.
So George Lucas was approached to do a holiday special after A New Hope, but it was taken off him, basically. And it's a big variety show that does have your main cast. And Mark Hamill, I don't know what's wrong with him. He's in so much makeup. It was maybe after he had that accident. I don't know, but like it's appalling, and it's all about trying to get Chewbacca back to his home planet for a festival day. And you see Chewbacca's family, and they are the stuff of nightmares. I'll send you the link. It's happily on YouTube, but watch it with people because you'll never get through it by yourself. It is so crap. George Lucas hates it. He makes
so maybe
it his mission.
It wasn't taken from him. He gave it away.
Well, he was busy sorting out Empire.
True.
To be fair,
yes. Yeah.
So making one of the best films in the franchise, and he had to just ignore this other thing. But it is the first time Boba Fett has ever come into the franchise.
Right. There we go.
Yeah. There's a weird little animated segment where Harrison Ford looks like Richard Gere.
No, I definitely have to see it just for that.
Yeah.
So speaking of your podcast, then, which I was a big fan of, the concept of two guys who run a cinema who have a podcast discussing all the latest films and the industry in general. Mm-hmm. And I really liked it. There's a bit too much swearing for my liking, mainly from you. I'm only joking. I don't get offended by swearing. But so why did it end? Just time, I'm guessing.
I mean, weirdly relevant to Star Wars Holiday Special, because the last podcast episode was after Rise of Skywalker. We'd also
it was, yeah.
That was the last one, and we were kind of a bit down on that as well. You're wearing your Last Jedi t-shirt there, so we loved that film, and then Rise of Skywalker came out, and then we kind of trashed it on the podcast, and then we're like, well, we're done now. No, it was just our schedules weren't meshing. There was a lot of days when...
Yeah, because you used to do it at the cinema, didn't you?
Yes.
Which was handy, but were you always both there?
Yeah, it was like days you were in, I wasn't in, and vice versa. And you were living away at the time as well.
Yeah. So
and I then had, like, not just one child to contend with. I then had a baby coming along as well. And my time was no longer my own.
That's why I took a year off from this.
Oh, there you go.
My daughter's 18 months now, so
wow.
Getting to a bit of a routine now, so I can...
Yeah,
and you can't half-ass this.
No,
you got to show up. It's not just this here. It's like afterwards. You've got all the editing, all the social media. All takes time. So
and the routine, like with kids, the routine does come. You've just got to.
Yeah, you've just got to get through those.
The thing is, if I can deviate a little and give a little
parenting
advice,
anything you want. Anything you want.
See, I see some parents who are a bit loosey goosey.
Yeah,
and I think that they're making a rod for their own back there. I'm not saying don't be fun. But be strict in regards to their timetable, because ultimately you yourself will benefit. You can, you and your partner can then, you've got a strict bedtime, and then after that you've got that time afterwards for yourself.
My daughter's fast asleep in bed right now.
Excellent. What time are we on? Yeah, that's good.
She usually sleep by 7 o'clock. So.
Yeah, my kids will be asleep now as well.
We just try to keep like breakfast, lunch, evening meal, naps roughly around the same time every day.
Yeah.
We just don't deviate, never have, and it just seems to have... She's always slept.
Can I tell you something really sad?
Go for it.
It's so upsetting when they stop having that midday nap.
Yes, I've heard about this.
Because then you're like, oh, I always could fit a 2-hour film in that time. I could watch something appalling, but no.
But then, when they get older...
They go to school.
Well, I was going to say... It's your problem now. I was going to say it, then you can watch films with them.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to my daughter getting old enough where I can... Older as in like 8, 9, 10, when I can... Some of the... Obviously, initially it's just going to be kids' films, which is fine, but like older films, the films that you liked when you were younger, see how she reacts to it, or...
Yeah, I mean, that is happening for me now.
Yeah. How old's your oldest?
So the oldest has just turned 6.
Right.
And actually, as of this podcast, the youngest is going to be 4 tomorrow.
Wow.
So but he's being dragged up a bit because he's got
because this is second child syndrome, isn't it? Have you heard about
because
this?
there's an older child in the house. He's racing to be more like, not that she has any independence, but have the perceived independence that she has. So they, like, I did take them to see the Super Mario Brothers a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
And to be fair, though, I loved it more than they did. my daughter was real... Do you know what a dry bones is?
Nope.
So
Do you?
What, the character?
Yeah.
I know roughly what it looks like.
Never.
Yeah,
heard
so
of it.
the Cooper Trooper that's a skeleton, basically.
Oh, right, yes.
And she was terrified when one of them turned up.
See, that's the thing you can't predict, can you? What they're like, what they're not going to like.
No, because we watched... There's
You're
two,
like, huh?
There's two, like, excellent animated Addams Family movies. And I thought they're not going to be down with this. Because they are... Like, I don't know if anyone's watched that Wednesday series on Netflix.
No.
But these two kids' animated films are more grim than this Netflix series. Morticia's... it opens where Morticia is doing her makeup and her eyeshadow is her mother's ashes. And her blush are her father's ashes.
Oh,
and
dear.
that is the level these films are at. And I
Wow.
thought they're not going to like this, but they loved it. And also, they're both absolutely obsessed with Nightmare Before Christmas,
yeah,
which is
that is a
also
classic.
incredibly grim.
It's dark, isn't it? Yeah.
But also Doctor Who as well, right?
Oh, Riley, yeah. My son is completely obsessed, not so much with Doctor Who, but Daleks. Absolutely fanatical
Evil.
about them. Yeah, he refers to himself as the master of the Daleks and then goes, Wah! And yeah, he's just a little version of me. He is a character.
Yeah, I look forward to watching films. But so what's going on with you guys at the moment? What's the latest with the cinema?
Yeah, so I don't know. We're at a strange point at the minute. I think we put a post out maybe about a month ago now.
It was the week before the Easter holidays.
Yeah, so we put kind of a big kind of call to action post, I guess. We'd been informed that really the business had been, I mean, we were kind of aware, we were aware that for the past few months it's been very quiet. But although it's been quiet, and then every so often we kind of have like little spikes, and then, but on top of everything else, energy prices, bills, all.
What were we talking to Will Morgan of the OFS? He said his monthly bills were £900,
Yeah.
and then
Up
it went
to-
£5,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we're currently about £175 a day on average.
Jesus.
I guess it's heating up a bit outside now, so we're not.
In the venue, we were saying, like, just give them jackets. Just walk. Turn the heat off. Just have jackets.
Yeah.
Jump around. You can't do that at the cinema.
But
Well, people can keep their jackets on, I suppose. But,
Yeah.
but people complain at us still about that. You'd think people would be more understanding. But anyway.
you
go
want
on.
to be comfortable in the cinema, though,
Yeah,
don't
that's
you? You want to
true.
be kind of cozy. But
No,
yeah,
if I
so
watch a film in the snow, I want to be cold. I want to feel it.
the thing. You watch
Yeah, I wanna be
Thing,
there.
and
Mount
you just-
Smell-O-Vision.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, but so we put this post up, kind of call to action, meeting like, well, we've been told that basically we're on track to run out of money. The business is on track to run out of money in 3 months. And we could have left it, we could have not said anything, and just kind of hoped that we could maybe start to turn things around, hope that kind of big films would come out and maybe change the admissions or the amount of admissions that were coming in. But instead of that, we kind of put this post out and said, right, this is the situation. It's not good, but these are the things we're going to kind of do to change the outlook of how it's currently looking. So really, since then we've kind of seen this big outpouring of support, vocal support, a lot of vocal support, but then immediately kind of people flock into the cinema again, which is really nice to see.
But after that post, the week after was Easter holidays.
Yeah.
And they were going to be busy anyway, but it seemed like they were way busier than we could have even anticipated.
Okay.
It was, if you recall, the weather was not great over those 2
It
weeks.
was awful. So what were the films at the time?
So Dungeons and Dragons, Super Mario Brothers, Mummies, which is a kids' cartoon, was doing really well. I felt like it was just a placeholder for Mario, but that still continued to do well after Mario came out. John Wick, that had
yes.
So
Yeah.
John Wick 4 had already been out and was doing kind of poor.
It was really, like, I think the first maybe couple of nights we had maybe single figure admissions,
Yeah.
or like.
And then that really
Teens.
exploded in that fortnight as well.
That's right. I waited a little bit to go and see John Wick because I always think, oh, it'll be mega busy in the cinema. I'll wait a week and then I'll go after when it's a bit quieter.
Did you go when it was busy? When
No.
it kicked off?
Actually, yeah, it was quite busy. It was in screen 2,
Yeah.
and I'd say it was a third full.
Yeah.
So my mistake. But
Hey, you still went and saw the film.
I did,
Fine.
yeah.
And it's a cracker of a film.
It is.
So Easter went well.
Yes, but Easter is made up of, obviously, the schools are closed, so you've got families. On top of local families, you've got holiday makers, because there was a lot of people I've never seen before in my life, and obviously accents that were clearly like, oh, you're from down south or whatever. So there was a lot of that. There was obviously people coming in. There was definitely some people were coming in, and they were said, oh, there was nothing there that we fancied, but we thought we'll come and give Dungeons and Dragons a shot because we just want to support you. And I'm pleased to say those people were rewarded with a very fun film.
Yeah. People have said that to me. That's hilarious.
It is.
Yeah.
It is really peppy. And I don't play Dungeons and Dragons.
No, me neither.
No, so I've no commitment to the
You've got
the
no
IP.
loyalty to that brand or whatever.
But as a fan of sword and sorcery, fantasy kind of 80s style films, it's the nail on the head.
I think even past that, though, it's just generally a good, fun, kind of family film. It's not.
I think Chris Pine's a very charming actor on screen. But I think he was a good Captain Kirk as well.
Yeah, I like him in Star Trek.
Well, it's mad because you think, well, no one can be Captain Kirk except for William Shatner. But no, he did it well.
He did.
So yeah, those we had great choices, I think, but Mario was just out of control. There was afternoon shows, so it was in the big screen, and it had 142 people in one screen one afternoon, and there was a Wednesday where I think it had been the busiest Wednesday, or maybe the busiest day we'd had in 5 years.
Yeah.
Once again, removing COVID from the scenario, but nevertheless, the figures that Mario was bringing in was obscene.
Wow.
But once again, those were all factors you have to take into you have to consider the thing, the holiday makers, and it was holiday time and people want to support. So after Easter, it's fair to say that some things have remained busy, but some things have gone back to being a little quiet.
Do you think Easter maybe got some people back in who hadn't been for a while?
Yeah,
and that's given the bug to sort of keep coming again.
Yes, an issue I thought about was possibly people have come in that 2 weeks, seen how ludicrously busy we were, and think, "Oh, job's done." I don't know what they were complaining about, but it's not.
That's the worry, I think, because last time we were really busy would be Top Gun, and I think when people kind of think maybe in the grand scheme of things that doesn't seem that long ago, but for the cinema, that last summer when we had lots of people in, it looked really busy. Lots of people coming from town, and then from September onwards, we were just dead. Really
it wasn't even a particularly good Christmas, I don't think.
No. Even Avatar took maybe at least 3 weeks to actually pick up to any numbers.
Wow.
Take that, James Cameron.
Yeah, but I think what we're trying to do now is keep momentum going. Because the Monday after the Easter holidays, I'd kind of messaged you, hadn't I, Andrew, and I'd said I'd been feeling a bit down because suddenly it was like the Easter holidays had finished, and then that Monday evening was just we had an empty show, very quiet shows, and it kind of felt like immediately it had just gone from this
a high to a low.
So we're just constantly trying to think of things to keep us going, to keep that momentum going. Coming on the podcast and talking to you.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we're trying to it's fair to say that we have been guilty in the past of hanging on to films for longer than we maybe should have. Because
so do you guys get to choose how long you show it for? So you get given a film?
No, it's not. That's not necessarily our choice, but nevertheless, some films have hung around longer because they're still doing okay business, as opposed to
okay business elsewhere.
No, still doing okay business with us.
Okay,
not phenomenal,
right?
But still getting people in.
Okay.
So there's, but the issue with that is if it's Penrith's not enormous, so people have already seen that thing. So I think there's now maybe a push to be more like, right, that film's at its week, it's 2 weeks. Now let's try something else.
Yes.
But the problem is, there's some genuinely interesting films out there that people just don't want to give a chance to. Something that really disheartens us is this town hates horror movies. So
I suppose with all your stats and stuff, you can tell what people like, what people don't like.
Yeah. Alan Towers, he's always had the opinion, and he's not wrong, that horror films do badly in Penrith. And
Alan's the owner.
Yeah, and we've always had the attitude, no, if you show them, people will come. Just go take the chance. But the last year, and maybe before that, any serious horror film has just died on its arse. He's completely right.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And I'm disheartened about that, because I want to see great horror movies.
See, I'm not a horror fan, so don't do anything for me.
Well, fair dues, but they just big names have done.
But I'm
badly.
surprised at that. I would never have guessed that.
Those recent Scream movies have done great the world over, except Penrith.
Yeah, Scream 6, I think, is one of the biggest. It's definitely
I didn't even know there was 6.
Oh, it's good.
It's the biggest box office for a Scream movie.
Oh,
wow, fair play.
And
that's mainly to do with the fact that Scream 5 was such a phenomenon, and then everyone was like, "Oh yeah, more of that, please," but not in Penrith.
but we showed it for 2 weeks and had 44 admissions the whole time. Wow. So there's that kind of show that there was only, I guess, 44 people in town.
Fair enough. So you sort of learned from that then?
A bit, yeah. I think that's put the nail in the coffin of horror for a little while.
A little while, although
but we're currently showing Renfield. Right. Although by the time this goes out, we won't have Renfield anymore, sadly. But there's a film on at the moment called Missing, which people I
saw
think
that advertised. Yeah,
people I think are looking at that like it might be a horror, but it's not. It's very much a what would you say?
Something else you did was put your tickets to £5.
Yes.
When did you do that? Just before Easter?
April, start of April.
Yeah, so that was the big push with
whose idea was that?
I guess it kind of was a mix of Alan's idea kind of came about. Talked about it a little bit, and really that was something that cost of living crisis at the minute as well, offering people the chance to. Well,
this ties in with the whole, but people be able to take a chance on something because it only costs £5.
Yes,
yeah. But then people are in there and they buy food, and that's your bread and butter, isn't it? So
yes, that's the trick. Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time as well, it also opens the chance just to. I mean, even if you
just want it full, you just want the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Just to get to people.
But I just want people to give things a chance.
Yeah. Do you think that COVID has obviously allowed everyone upgraded their home setup in COVID?
Yeah.
Obviously, then the streaming services became more popular because everyone had no option but to watch them.
Oh,
so now we've come out of that. That's kind of changed the landscape a little bit.
Disney are a major factor in that because something the cinema has been missing until recently, and it's getting better this year, is there's been a distinct lack of family movies. And if you think Disney are the main producer of these Disney movies, and almost everything they make now is just
straight to Disney.
Disney Plus. There's a new Peter Pan they've made straight to Disney Plus. They did Lady and the Tramp, that went straight. Pinocchio with Tom Hanks went straight to Disney Plus.
All the Pixar films. So they took the recent Pixar films as well, except for maybe what was the last one?
I don't. It's difficult with Pixar. I get confused as to what's Pixar and what's Disney, to be honest with you. But
true.
But Luca and Soul.
Yeah,
Soul was great. I really enjoyed that.
And again, that would have been perfect on a cinema screen, but you could only watch it.
And then the ones they did release into cinemas were Turkey's Strange World was poor, and obviously, like I liked Lightyear. Hands up, I liked Lightyear, but you're not doing it any favors by taking it away from Tim Allen. He is the voice of Buzz Lightyear. Of course that was going to annoy people.
Of course.
So, yeah.
It's not a minor adjustment, is it?
No, it isn't. So, yeah, the ones they release have not been so hot.
That is a thing, and that's a continued thing again. It seems to be changing, but whereas Super Mario's just came out, it's so busy.
Yeah.
But that's because we've not really had anything since Puss in Boots, which came out in January.
So from your stats then, what is it generally the family movies are the most popular, get the most people in, or is it the big action blockbusters? Or
it has been the case really. Family audiences are the people who mostly support. I think there's been a change recently in a few in the past few years, because there is more access to cinema in the area, and I think that's kind of split audiences a little bit. So we have seen kind of family films maybe not last as long as we would have maybe 5+ years ago.
Matilda had a pretty poor start at Christmas.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, just it was 2 weeks of terrible shows, and then out of nowhere just exploded.
It's weird.
Yeah.
You know, what causes these things?
I think with Matilda, because everyone was aware it was a Netflix film, everyone was like, well, it'll be on Netflix shortly. But then Netflix were like, no, it's not going to be on Netflix until next summer.
That was in America, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, well, we must go see it then.
Because it's a battle between the cinemas want to show it, but the streaming services want to show it. Do the streaming services get anything out of it being in the cinema?
Yes.
That's what I thought it was.
Because they get, I mean, Mario has embarrassed them all. Mario has absolutely shown them that it's like, if you fully commit to this.
Yeah, you push it and you sell it right.
But
yeah.
I think they know, though, that if...
it's got the brand, hasn't it?
It has got the brand, yeah.
So the money, if they're showing it in a cinema, obviously there's a ticket split with the cinema, and it works through distribution, goes to the cinema partly. Whereas if it's on streaming, all the money's just coming to them. If people are signing up, it's going straight to the studio. So that's obviously that works.
That is true, but the amount of content they have to produce.
But it's also still getting to the adverts and the commercials in between. Like everyone, loads of different people make money from people being there in front of a massive screen. Like you're getting 100 people or whatever in front of, and you can sell products as well.
Absolutely.
Plus people talk about it. I mean,
yeah,
one of the biggest things in Penrith, I think, in terms of kind of advertising a film, is word of mouth. If people come and see the film, that's when,
especially somewhere like where we are,
it's
Cumbria.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really, we can do as much social media and things as possible, but
you
really
know who your audience is, so you've got to work to that, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
People in, watching the trailers, watching the film, talking to their friends, recommending it to their friends, and rolling, come and see the films again and again. So I think that's why it's always a little bit disheartening when we get to a point where it's been really busy and then suddenly it drops off to nothing, and you just worry that then, people aren't talking about cinema.
But then you go back to tickets £5, that just changes everything.
Yeah, I think it has. It's definitely made it more accessible in that sense. I don't know what you kind of...
Well, I hope it does, because £5
what
is...
What reason have you got to not go? It's
£5 is phenomenal.
It just doesn't matter. So that doesn't matter what film it is, what level it's at.
It does not include anything that would be like a live show. So National
Theatre, any normal film.
Normal film, £5.
So say Guardians of the Galaxy is upcoming. That's big. That £5 across the board.
Yeah.
So. And we've also done other things, like we're starting to show classic kids films for £2.
Yeah, I was wondering about this, but themed nights or just randomly we're going to pick a classic. Here it is and now it's a £5. So
we've put out a thing asking what classics people may want.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but I've noticed not one person seems to have doubled up on a film. So it's like
everyone wants a different
film.
film.
It's like, well, I don't know. And the amount of people
we've got to show all these now.
The amount of choices, which are absolute classics, but are films that are 2 hours and 45 minutes or 3 hours long. Someone said The Green Mile, which is actually 3 hours and 9 minutes. I was like, well, it's a masterpiece, The Green Mile, but that does technically take up 2 showings.
My thinking is, though, once we get this going, and if we can kind of have it as a classic film club or something, a regular day or a regular, even if it starts off monthly, say last Friday in a month or something like that, and then as we start to build it, we can start to maybe experiment a bit and go, okay, well, whereas at first we might show something like Jurassic Park, or Jaws or something really well known, then maybe as we move on a little bit further, we can kind of start going, Once Upon a Time in the West, or a David Lynch
branching
film,
out a bit.
Yeah. Once we've got people's attention, but it does take a while to.
It's a weird time because, have you ever had to think outside the box like this? Has this ever happened before?
We do this a lot. I mean,
it's never been this serious before, but we've shown classic cinema before. My concern is that I have seen in the past that we have had things where we've had something put on social media and the response has been massive, and then it comes to the day and it's a completely different story. It's like, well, there's so many empty seats. Where are all the people that were liking and sharing and everything? And it's fine to do all this, but we still just need the support.
Yes. Yeah.
It's the easiest solution to the biggest problem. It's literally people just need to come down, buy some sweets, and watch a film.
I replied to a Facebook comment with exactly that. Article, cinema faces closure. Oh, how do we save this cinema? Use
Go
it.
to it.
Yeah.
Use it. Use it more.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I couldn't believe the look, I'm happy to see any suggestions to help us out. But a lot of people were overthinking it.
They always do.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, have you considered doing this? Consider doing that? I said, have you considered coming to see a film with your friends?
And they've gone, that blows my mind. I never thought of that.
Now I don't want to be an arsehole about it, but that is literally the fix.
Yeah.
One lady the other day suggested we should have a lizard petting zoo because kids like that. Now that to me is like going into a failing baker's and going, have you tried setting up a bowling alley?
I mean, that's diversifying, but that's too far.
Yeah.
Yeah, ultimately it does come down to that. Just come along and watch a film or come and see something. I think this is a bigger question as well, just in terms of people coming to see something that they don't maybe know anything about.
Yeah.
I like that. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a difference between, suppose, like if you do a load up Netflix and you go, I'm going to take a punt on this.
Yeah.
Then go to the cinema. But again, for £5,
£5,
you
yeah.
can.
Yeah.
It's like just a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if that keeps going, that will eventually happen.
I hope, yeah. I mean, like I say,
And you're going to suggest, well, what about this? And what about this? And people go, oh, do you know what?
well, that's what people that's what people did with Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes,
They
yeah.
just took a chance.
Yeah.
And it's a great film.
And I mean, the £5 applies to our Spotlight alternative as well, which is every Sunday, where we show kind of world cinema, independent cinema, or just things that you kind of can't get in the area.
Yeah.
So might not be shown in any of the cinemas in Cumbria. And
Or on the streaming services.
Yeah, well, that's the other element as well. And actually, I mean, things like we're showing One Fine Morning, which is a French film. It's a Curzon film, and you can rent it. You can actually rent it online for about $13.99 on the
Or you
Curzon
can go and see it
website.
for £5.
Yeah, or you can go and see it in the cinema, and then also afterwards have a bit of a discussion with the people.
Exactly.
That's one of the best things I think about going to the
I've
cinema.
thought about that
is
before,
coming out.
like a cinema where like either it just turns into a discussion room where it's at, or you go into another room and like if anyone wants to go and talk about it, you can go and talk about it.
Yeah,
I know you've got your lobby, but
We've got the so every Monday, as in so yesterday actually we had the U3A in, which are kind of it's like a group for kind of retired people, and they get to do different kind of activities and things, and one of them is a cinema club. They come every other Monday, and they have an allotted amount of time after the film just to have a coffee and to discuss the film. So they watched Missing yesterday, which again, Missing is kind of, I guess it's been targeted at kind of maybe teen audience or like a 18 to 30 maybe audience, that kind of, but this was an older audience watching it, and they absolutely loved it because it was something that they probably wouldn't have came to see if it wasn't part of the cinema club. So the discussion afterwards went on for quite a while, and they just had that time to kind of, and that's something that again, if we could do that for every film, it would be brilliant. But we don't. Yeah, as you say, it's the allotted times of certain things.
I suppose not every film demands it as well, but yeah, it'd be nice just to have a little extra room on the side of each screen for people.
makes you think what's going to happen if eventually some costs do start coming down again. Like, gives you much more food for thought, freedom, and like positivity.
Yeah,
it's just like you just got to get through. We've all just got to get through this now.
Yes.
First it was COVID, now it's this.
Yeah, and there's a fine line. We understand everyone is
There's
battling.
a lot less spare spending money.
And that is completely understandable. But the argument still has to be made that if we don't see the support now, when times are better, we're not going to be here to be here with you.
Absolutely.
And it's not much more than a price of a pint, really. Like,
No.
You're not going to get 2 pints for the price of a cinema ticket at the minute.
You just can't argue with it.
Yeah. So, I mean, 2 hours to kind of go and do something with your friends or family, or just by yourself as well. I think that's one of the best things about cinema. Is
I've
going
done
by
that
yourself.
occasionally.
Yeah, there's numerous regular customers who just come by themselves.
Yeah.
And that's great.
And then they come out and have a chat with us afterwards.
Yeah, they
as well.
do.
That's like
Yes,
a lot of
that's
the
true.
time we do have people just come and have a chat, which is always really nice.
Yeah.
And it's good to have kind of polarizing views on films as well.
That's what discussion's all about, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm happy for someone to come up to me and say it's shit.
Yeah, I mean,
But at least we've seen it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's not saying that if they haven't seen it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
what do you know? You haven't seen it.
Because that happens a lot
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
of course. Yeah, you get it. Like they've read the what do you call it, synopsis?
Yeah,
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we showed Ennie's Main a few weeks ago.
That was polarising, wasn't it?
Ennie's Main, it's called. It's a Cornish folk tale by a British director. He's called Marc Jenkin, and I absolutely loved it. Like I watched it. I watched it before we showed it, and then I watched it the night that we showed it, and I thought it was better on the second viewing, but it was still amazing. But it's an experimental folk kind of oddity, which showed in our... We showed it in screen number 1, our big screen, and we had about 56 people in, which was a really good turnout.
What does it hold?
So that screen has 150 seats. But
that's your biggest one. Well, that's pretty good.
but for something that kind of
something that niche,
niche, and people came out and were vocal. Like they some people hated it, and we've got like a few regulars. One guy who comes to every alternative and comes kind of multiple times a week, and he was like, "That was utter trash." Whereas again, I look.
It must be hard not to take that kind of thing personally. It's not your film.
You don't make it.
Well, sometimes people do think it does seem like people think that we make the films, but
they just come out and go, "What were you thinking?"
That was kind of another area where we're allowed to experiment a bit with the cinema though as well ourselves. Because I mean, although we don't,
that's fun. I like that. That's a good aspect. So that's another part of your job that you like, apart from watching the latest films.
I mean, there's so many elements to the job that I like.
I don't see as much of that as you do though.
So, what are your two different roles? Explain this, and have they changed since you were last here at all?
Yeah, we were just talking about this before, weren't we? Kind of how we're
so
a bit of a
you're
mismatch.
assistant manager?
I'm manager.
Oh, you're the manager?
So I managed for about, I think that'll be 9 years in October.
Okay, right, yeah.
And I'm the chief projectionist, but I'm the only projectionist. So I am my own chief, which we can all...
I gave myself a promotion.
Yeah, we can all be our own chief. We've all...
Master Chief.
I'll do a TED talk on how we can all be our own chief. Yes, but when I say projectionist, obviously everyone has the image of film reels and all that, but it's not. A projectionist now is a computer programmer.
Well, yes.
So
yes.
that is what I am.
Process has changed, but it's still essentially the same thing.
Yes.
But we kind of cover. I
was going to say, you've been there a long time. I'm sure you'll do a lot more than just that.
Oh yeah, we do. But we do everything.
Yeah.
There's if a screen is a tip, we have to go clean it. I'm not saying we've got lazy staff and it's just me and him doing all the jobs, but we are the type of business where everybody mucks in.
Yeah.
Nobody's really above anyone else except you and I. You and I have more responsibilities.
Yeah. I think each role encapsulates all of the jobs. It's just as you kind of get more responsibility. I mean, but yeah, we clean up popcorn.
I often unblock a toilet.
Yeah,
there you go. That says it all.
I specifically bought.
Keep yourself grounded.
I bought artificial insemination gloves that go right up my arm because
it's easier than a plunger.
Yeah, some people are pigs.
That's just one of them jobs. But now, more than ever, it's all about being a team. Just do whatever it takes to get it done, and just
I think that's been for the whole. I mean, 14, 15, whatever years it's been. It's like we've always had a really good team, and like the staff turnover at the cinema it's barely anything, is it? We have when people work there, they generally stay there for quite a while.
I'm assuming people who work at a cinema love cinema.
Yeah, so we all. I mean, everyone who works there either has a passion or works in cinema or has... I mean, you're a filmmaker as well.
Yes, yeah.
We've got front of house staff who are kind of film students. Or
that's kind of what you need. Everyone's kind of in the same world.
Yes.
They've all got different interests in the same thing from different angles.
It's
works together.
It's the most useful thing, to go back to what we said earlier. If someone comes down that stairs and wants to have a chat with you...
Knowledgeable.
Yeah, if you don't have that crack...
you need an opinion.
They'll just walk away.
Yeah.
And that's no fun because they've wanted to come and have that chat with you. So, it is important.
I think that's what the cinema's always tried to be as well. As
especially what you imagine about your local cinema, independent cinemas, is that sort of touch that you wouldn't get necessarily at a big multi-mega gigaplex.
Yeah.
Well, that's
where
it.
You pay £20 for a hot dog.
I mean, I don't live in Penrith. I live in Carlisle. So sometimes I do go to the View.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, gas.
But just research.
Yeah, but I don't expect to have. I mean, to be fair, there are people working at the View that I know.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
fact,
I know
one of our staff members is dating a staff member from View, and we had a joke. It was all Romeo and Juliet.
Here's a price
thing,
list. Go and check it against theirs. Take this with you.
So if I see him, I'll have a chat. But often it's not the case. But I'm not shitting on them. They're a very different animal to what we are.
But I wonder if their numbers have been affected by all this.
Absolutely.
They must have been.
I can tell you that they have, because obviously I've been going there. So they showed The Godfather, which, that's in my opinion, one of the best films ever made. Godfather,
a lot of people share
part
that opinion.
1.
Yep.
It would have struggled to have had 10 people in there.
Wow.
2 weeks ago, I think I saw the 45th anniversary of the original Christopher Reeve Superman. That would have struggled to have 20. So that was sad. So because we're talking about classic films earlier, and I see a lot of classic films at View, and Airplane.
Absolute classic.
Do you know who was in there? Me and my 2 friends. We had a private show of Airplane. How was
So for
nobody?
you, that's brilliant.
How was nobody going to see Airplane? It's good though, because I've got a boisterous laugh. And I would have annoyed people. So,
such a good film.
Because last year they showed. I shouldn't really be talking about another cinemas stuff, but I do think it's relevant. I do think it's relevant. Last year they showed every.
This is all your insider knowledge.
Yeah. They showed every Bond film, all 25 Bond films, every Sunday, and I saw every one. 25 weeks, I saw every one. And it ranged from...
Is this just you doing research to see what happens? Are you a massive Bond fan?
I mean, I am a massive Bond fan, yeah. But also it was an opportunity to see, 20 films I've never seen on the big screen. Actually, no, I've seen more than 20 on the big... Anyway, a great deal of them I wasn't even born for.
So it ranged from...
So it's... Some of them, there would have been maybe 5 or 6 people in. And others might... The heights of some of them might have been 30. But more often than not, we would have been looking at 5 or 10 people in there for Bond films.
Wow. How much was a ticket for that?
Well, if you book online at the time, it was they were just £5 a ticket.
Was that just because that was like showing all classics?
No, it was just. But View have changed that now, so you pay different prices for different seats. Because they used to just be the VIP seats were more, and then the rest seats were the same price. But now it's. So if you look on their website, it's a colour palette, and you match the price with the colour, and so you can.
So that's them trying to diversify. How can we make more money from seats?
You can still pay $4.99 for a ticket, but you have to be in that proper front, oh, look at this!
My neck hurts.
look how big Ursula Andress is. So yeah, it is. But yeah, I think it's important to put out there that it isn't just us that's struggling. It is many cinemas. And I mean, I don't know how wide your listener base is, but
quite big in Cumbria.
Yeah, I mean, how much outside of?
A lot.
Yeah, so
a lot in the US as well.
Yeah, so if anyone is listening to this and you're not in Cumbria, but you do have a local cinema, go and support it.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. If you just sit and you're like, I do like films, actually, yeah. I'll stop sitting at home and watching them. Actually go. It's just the experience of being in a cinema. It can't be replicated.
It absolutely
can't. I'm worried that some younger people growing up now would not been to the cinema. That
possible.
Terrifies me.
Yeah.
Someone who's maybe 10, 12 now, maybe hasn't, because of COVID and various things, and now this.
Imagine all the distractions in your home.
Oh, I know.
My dog is quite old and farts a lot. And so you're saying about smell-o-vision. I've got that at the worst times. And I love my dog, but that is stinky. But so there's stuff like that. Someone can ring you. Someone might knock on your door.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of interruptions.
I'm trying to explain that experience of sitting in a film on a massive screen with the sound. It's just you just can't. I don't know how to explain that to someone.
I mean,
who hasn't had it before.
You leave the house and you commit to a thing.
Yes,
and that is the difference.
It's an event.
Look, I'm as guilty as anyone of being at home watching a film and then I might pick up my phone.
Yeah.
I
don't do that in the cinema.
No, some people do and have to be told. But but in theory, you don't. And I think there are films I've seen in the cinema that I have come out of at the end and gone, I enjoyed that, but that would not have held my attention at home.
Yes.
That big screen and the surround sound is what held my attention.
Paying attention to
here.
things, that's what it results in, because it's like listening to music, or it's sometimes a thing in the background. Like suddenly you could be watching at home and something happens at home, and suddenly it's something that's now in the background.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen in the cinema. You take in more of what you're watching.
When you're outside of the cinema, everything is made to grab your attention. So that is why your phone will constantly pop up. And it's just not, it's not the same. I mean, we both watched loads of films out of work as well as at the cinema.
Yeah.
But how often am I sat in front of like a TV screen and going, I wish I was watching this at the cinema.
That's the thing. And it's even worse when it's a film we've had at the cinema and I went, I didn't bother watching that at work, and then I watch it and I'm like, what an idiot. That would have been
sometimes come across something and
spectacular.
I watch it and I go, that was great. That would have been good at the cinema.
Yeah.
I think the thing is that sometimes we can sound, maybe not sound, but it feels like a little bit insular, a little bit of an echo chamber, especially in terms of like film watching. And and maybe we've sometimes got to understand that not everyone's life revolves around film like it does maybe for us.
A bit more casual on the
Yes.
Yeah. So like there is passive viewing, there is kind of but we just want to make it interesting for people to actually come to the cinema. And I think that's what that's got to be down to, is like considered programming. And talking to people, which we do have. We've got that connection. So what I'd say is the difference between maybe Superman showing at View and us then showing something that someone's requested, or a few people have requested, is then we have that conversation that then will build those audiences and hopefully then bring people into the cinema. I mean, something that one of the big kind of successes that we've had at the minute is our green screen films, which we show every month. On a Wednesday every month. We've got one next Wednesday actually, and we work with kind of local climate action organisations to put on climate action films and panels and Q&As, and this is just kind of it. What's been really good about it is we've seen the audiences change. It's not always just the network of organisations that are there. So was it the last one we showed, Thriving, or was that the one before? No. So the one before the last screening was Thriving, which was it's a film made in Cumbria with the horseback adventurer who's kind of she basically went around Cumbria on a horse camping and travelled talking to different farmers. And what was really nice is that screening was absolutely full of farmers and people just wanted to talk and debate after the screening.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that's changed.
It was sold out, wasn't it?
Yeah, sold out. So we sold out
That's
a bit.
cool.
So
I like that.
The past 3 screenings we've done have completely sold out in our biggest screen, so 151 seats. And I think that shows that if you kind of work with networks and have a relationship with people as well, and I think that's really important just in a local community as well, to have that close relationship with people. That's how you can feed back and forth to each other, because obviously that's a huge help to us by that many people showing up to a screening.
Yeah.
That really has been propping up the quiet times that we've had. But it also allows them to kind of have discussion and reach out to people as well that way. So if there's more things we can think of like that, I mean, this is where it kind of comes into the hope with a Penrith Tea Rooms kind of return in some form as well.
It'd be more like a live on stage event in front of the film we're about to show, basically.
Yeah.
We've chose this film because, and then it's sort of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're thinking about cult screenings, cult film screenings, maybe
But like a movie club, like a once a week or something, once a month, where
Once a month is probably more manageable.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. And we can kind of show some weird stuff. Some, I
Yeah.
mean, we'd probably start with Nell and I, because you have to.
Well,
Yes.
of
Yeah.
course.
Penrith Tea Rooms.
Yeah.
But it would be nice. I think that's something that we might look into doing as well.
Because you guys show documentaries and stuff as well, I assume, quite regularly.
Yes.
Semi-regularly.
Yeah.
Well,
Mostly kind of part of the alternative. We do have
Right,
documentaries shown, but we do kind of have event cinema. We had
we have exhibition on screen. So so that's basically documentaries about specific artists and whatnot, and then you see the work that's on show at the moment. The one we're showing at the moment, which is Vermeer.
Yeah.
Vermeer. The reviews for that have basically said, just go to the cinema because it's better than going to the actual exhibition because it's sold out, it's too busy, you won't get to look at the things you want to look at. Just go watch the
You're
film.
like, yes, that's our
It's
event.
like,
Let's do that.
I loved it when I saw that review. I was like, that's great.
That's what we need to put at the top of this when we advertise it. This is what's been said about it.
Let's go.
So one thing I've noticed is the so we show like theatre shows and opera and ballet and all those types of things, and they have varying levels of success. You could see them sell out a show. You could see them do 10 people. Because, to be fair, like opera and ballet are very niche. That's just a fact. But I've noticed recently that shows like that have started to, if not sell out, come close to sell out. And it's definitely because that audience have looked at it and gone, well, if I can't go see it in a cinema, I have to go to London. I have to buy tickets for possibly a crap seat. I have to buy a hotel.
Yeah.
And those event shows are amazing. And you've got better access in a cinema anyway because the cameras give you close-ups for
it's
a
like
start.
watching football on TV.
Yeah, exactly. You
At a stadium, you just got one point of view and you go, oh, you watch a match of the day, like, oh, I didn't even know that happened. I didn't see that. I mean, somebody got sent off. Oh, I didn't.
So that makes a hell of a difference. You get little documentaries at half-time in the intermission explaining, you get interviews with the key people and whatnot, and you wouldn't get that down there.
Yes.
With the operas, they're subtitled. You don't get subtitles when you're watching it live. What else? Oh, we're doing Eurovision.
Oh, wow, you're going to screen Eurovision?
We're screening Eurovision.
That's brilliant.
What's that?
Yeah.
Saturday the 13th of May?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
We're going to do kind of a bit of a Eurovision.
Day before my birthday.
Oh, there we
Eurovision
go.
party.
Yeah, Eurovision party around
Oh,
it.
nice.
So costumes and dress up and games and different
That's
things.
awesome.
But, it's the first time it's ever been shown in cinemas. So
this is like a national thing where it's all in the big chains and the independent ones as well?
not everywhere is showing it. I think it's been kind of a few.
But it's possible that where you live, depending on where you live, you could either see it in a big cinema or independent.
Yes. I'm sure other places.
Right, okay.
Yes. Once again, for those people not local.
Yes. That's a great idea.
I love you all. It's
Eurovision for me is one of those things. Like I used to always hate it, but now like it's so bad. I love it.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it?
I just like I'll watch that. Yeah, it's terrible.
I remember the first
something that never happens. Only once a year.
Yeah, it's
something
just like
totally unique and bonkers, and you're like, I'll get involved.
Absolute cheese on toast.
Bonkers is the word, isn't it? Yeah.
It was years ago when what were they called? Lordy.
Yes.
When the year I watched it the year Lordy were on, just because I was like, this is going to be mad.
Yeah.
And then I watched the whole thing and I was like, God, I actually enjoyed that whole show.
Yeah.
And then after that, I don't always watch it, but I don't.
It's in the
mind
UK
it
this
now.
time, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's a selling point of it
because
as well.
because Ukraine won, but obviously can't host it.
We came second.
Yes.
So,
with our weird guy who's just a club singer.
Oh yeah. Is that Nothing But Space or whatever it's called?
I don't even know.
Sam something.
Sam Ryder.
Yeah. Sam Ryder, that's the one.
Is he doing it again this year?
No,
he'll just be.
He'll be part of it.
He'll be handing over some kind of
microphone.
Yes, probably
golden microphone.
Okay. He lives
lit on fire.
He lives rent free in my nightmares. So he's been a very busy man all year.
Not your kind of guy, is he not?
I'm not keen. He's just
fair enough.
He's just terrifying. He's got the whitest teeth I've ever seen.
It's nice just to hear for once, just not United Kingdom, nil point.
Yeah.
We were liked last year. So
is there really weird rules about Eurovision? Like why we never have current British top songwriters on? It's always like some weird niche kind of person you've never heard of
As
before.
I say, a club singer basically. There was that year we sent Engelbert Humperdinck. He did so badly, and the song was quite good.
One time in the mid-90s, why didn't we go? Let's stick Oasis on. Let's get them in there.
There you go.
Why that? But I remember someone told me that's not possible for certain reasons, which are complicated.
It's not supposed to be like professional musicians.
Yeah, well,
if they're professional,
it never really comes across that way, though, does it?
No,
it's like this big,
meant to
grand,
be just
worldwide event. Why would it not be big artists?
Well, the thing is, what I've noticed is some of the more sexually based European countries just send the
sexually based. What does that mean?
Well, like
the hell does that mean?
The country.
No, let me guess. What the hell?
The countries that we associate as being passionate and beautiful people, and like these people don't have any sexual hang-ups. They always
not like us.
Not like
not
us.
what I thought you meant.
They always send. They will send the most beautiful women to perform, and it's like, yeah, I can I can see why you've done that. Yeah.
She's got no talent, but I'll watch.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm so glad that's where that ended up going, because I thought
I didn't know where he was going with that. That's sexually based.
Yeah, sexually based countries.
We're going to use that for when we sell this.
Their lifestyles are based around sex.
All right, okay, then.
Sexually
Or
based.
certainly our perception of it, because it's they think, well,
I was thinking wherever he's going to say, I'm going.
it's clever though. It's clever because they go, right, what do people think of us outside of this country? Oh, they all think we're sex mad. Send a lass with the best thighs we've ever seen. Get her on stage, and it'll be a winner.
Yeah, but that's it. You go like, okay, she's very attractive. Can she sing? No.
Or terrible.
This is terrible.
Auto-tune.
My thumb wants to switch over, but my mind won't let me.
But yeah, it's
So that's a good idea.
it's great. Yeah. It's great we've got that.
So have you done anything like that at all before?
We do stuff like we've done, like, I mean, I guess Rocky Horror, like in terms of like if you're thinking about kind of us like putting on events and things.
So I was thinking like the King's coronation.
Oh,
I know it's during the day, but like broadcasting a live event.
Well, I don't know for sure, but if it's anything like the Queen's funeral, cinemas were allowed to show it, but they were not allowed to charge for it and couldn't sell any sweets or anything. So in our current...
So just use our electricity.
Yes.
And we can't do anything about it.
In our current situation, it would be...
That does not work.
Yeah.
Be happening,
come and not pay.
But things like that just sets a precedent. Things like Eurovision, yeah, that could work.
Because there was a thing, you know when Ron Howard made that Beatles documentary that was called
Get Back.
No, they were 8 days a week.
Yes, that was the one before.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he did that, and so you had to do a live tune-in of the red carpet ceremony.
Yes.
Which I think it was Edith Bowman was on the red carpet.
You guys did that?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we had a whole thing, and there was interviews on the red carpet.
Oh yes, I was there. I came for that.
There you go.
Yes.
And then
that went on a long time.
Yes, it did.
That went on far too long.
Yeah, they really didn't work that out well. But once it got going, it's fine. And then someone on stage goes, and now enjoy the documentary. So I've got to switch the live stream off and then frantically start the film playing. And then you've got to time it because there was something after it as well.
Live.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And I didn't realise this. I thought they would have thought once the film's credits had finished, that's when you'd want to time it to start the next part of the live thing. But they didn't. They had decided, once the credits started, who cares? Let's get back to the live thing. So I had to stop the credits and get the live thing back running. But you know, there's Beatles music on the end credits. Surely you want that. There was another one. There was Michael Caine was involved in a documentary called My Generation, and that was the same thing. It was we controlled the documentary, and then as soon as it was finished, we had to then switch to a live stream where he was. I think that was Edith Bowman as well. I think Edith Bowman was doing the Q&A with Michael Caine as well. So that was so those things happen. I haven't seen one of them in a while. I've got to be honest. I don't like it when it's mixed.
No, it's
either all streamed live or I have control.
That's a bit like when they go to like the local news and like they're not even like looking at the.
Yes.
Sorry. Or they just cut off before the end. You've run over your time. You're off.
Yeah. So it's whereas like, things like National Theatre and whatnot, they'll either send you it as a complete file and I have the control, or I have to tune it in and stick that on. But because that's how Eurovision's going to have to be done, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's going to have to be
Eurovision goes quite late, doesn't it?
Midnight.
Late one. Yeah.
4 hours long as well, I think, altogether.
I seem to remember last year it didn't finish till midnight.
Are you both going to be in for that?
I'm not.
I will be. I'll interested.
You'll be watching at home at 10 o'clock going...
Yeah, maybe. But I'm old. I'm old and I've got kids.
How old are you?
Soon, next month, I'll be 41.
Oh, I'm 42, so...
Oh, that's all right.
I'm old as well.
Neither of us look it.
No,
Aren't we doing all right?
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 32.
Okay.
So...
Younger
I might look it. It's all the grey hairs.
The grey hair, distinguished.
I'm not complimenting a 30-odd-year-old. No, go away. We'll talk again when you're 40.
But no, yeah, that sounds... Have you had... When have you started like advertising that? Or when did you get the opportunity to do it?
For Eurovision?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's already advertised. It's got bookings already.
I did actually put the first post up the night that we put the post.
So what are you guys actually doing as well as part of the whole thing? What's the plan?
Yeah, so a few different ideas at the minute. We're going to do like a Eurovision bingo and different games around and dress up. And hopefully, and I might get some kind of snacks that are like Euro snacks and things.
Yes.
And we'll have the music, like different. I think one of the plans is to decorate the foyer, have the music of like past Eurovisions on as people are going into the screens and things. So yeah, that'll be fun. It's always good when we do like a big event, I think. I mean, I mentioned Rocky Horror before, but like that's always been something that's been like one. I remember, was it 2020? Was the first time we'd kind of brought back doing kind of events things.
Oh, I see. Yes,
and it was end of October. We showed Rocky Horror. Was it? I can't remember whether it was Rocky Horror Live or just the film.
It was live.
Yeah,
it was David Badella as Frankenfurter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that was the one before.
Oh no, he came
did
back
he come back for
he
that?
did it again.
Yeah, so everyone came dressed up anyway, but obviously people had like visors on and masks, so there was like full makeup but with like masks over and everything. So it was like a very COVID Rocky Horror. But that was a really good night, and people like stood up in the seats dancing. It was like the first kind of thing where we'd seen, okay, there might be a possibility of cinema still being this kind of event style thing.
There was still the distancing, wasn't there?
Yeah, so there's still, we sold out, but it was sold out distancing.
A different type of sold out back then.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
No one could sit right in front of someone else. Next to you, you had to leave, I think, 2 seats space. It was Can I say you did a really good job of orchestrating how the seating was going to work when we reopened? Because I looked at that and I thought, nah, I'd have looked at that and gone,
sit where you
do
like.
what you want. I couldn't.
Did you get the picture of all your seats on a gringo? Like that one.
It was like that, wasn't it?
We did have like an automatic thing at first, but that wasn't going to work. So yeah, we
You've like put like tape across certain seats.
We did at one point, and then we took that off, and then just hoped that people would like,
and they did, because people were terrified.
People generally don't like sitting next to each other anyway.
No, that's true.
And also, it was dead anyway, so like majority of the times people were socially distanced because there was no one in there.
Such a weird. I bet it was weird opening for a film the first time after COVID. Must have been eerie.
It was strange. I can't remember what the first screening would have been when we opened in
July
2020.
Oh, wasn't it?
He's going to remember something from the past.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wasn't it Unhinged?
Oh, it might have been Russell Crowe in
it's such a good film.
I've not seen that.
Russell Crowe, who's fatter than ever. He's just an angry man in a car.
Oh, is this a bit like Falling Down?
It's exactly like Falling Down.
Yeah. This is weird. Someone was talking about this last week.
Right. It's really,
really good. We were talking to somebody else, but they hadn't seen Falling Down. I was like,
right.
Probably see Falling Down first. And then maybe
Falling Down is better,
right,
definitely.
Yeah.
But Unhinged, just every bad thing, the next bad thing tops the previous bad thing, and it just gets worse and worse. I really enjoyed it.
Well, I love watching someone have a really bad day. Makes you feel better about yourself.
Yeah, well, you'll be loving that.
Unhinged, so that has been mentioned to me before.
Good B movie, I think.
Yes.
It was in our realm of
films. So it must have been a bit of caution for people when you reopened for especially after the first lockdown, when it was pretty at its most serious, I would imagine.
Well, we still didn't know. There still wasn't even a vaccine when we opened the first time.
No.
So
people were just terrified.
Yeah, people didn't know. People were very unsure as to what they could and could not do. We were unsure.
We were not stood anywhere near each other in there, probably
shouting across the room.
Excessive amount. And we had to kind of have
all that
stations
transparent
as well.
plastic.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah, it was so. It's
like you have a screen where you at the deck at your till, like screen up there.
Yeah. All separated, can't work next to each other. Separate, like we've got crosses on the floor where we're allowed to stand.
That's got my name on it. I stand there.
It was awful, wasn't it?
It was a straight. I think at the time though we were just happy to kind of be able to show.
Well,
films
because you've just been literally at home.
Yeah,
like we're going to talk about this for years.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
People like our kids or just younger people generally. They're like, what was it like? A bit like us talking to our grandparents now about the war.
Yes, yeah.
It's the only thing I can sort of compare it to where the whole country was affected that much by one thing.
Yeah.
That's
obviously nowhere near as bad.
No.
I've got to sit at home The weather is amazing. And they just like the weather just turned amazing as soon as lockdown happened. It was like, thank God for that.
But we weren't allowed to go for walks.
No.
Oh, you can go for one walk.
Yeah.
Hang on, you've been out for a walk today already.
Yeah.
You're under arrest.
And then it was, okay, you can go out if you're exercising.
Yeah.
I remember I saw a meme of like someone like Phil Mitchell against the wall. If you see the cops, exercises, hide me pint.
Neighbours ratting on neighbours.
Oh yes, yeah. So this is the thing. Like since we've come back since COVID, like we're hearing everyone's stories about what happened to them. Everyone's got a different story of things, how their lockdown went.
You must be bored of it.
No, not yet. Because everyone's got such different experiences.
I think that first lockdown was actually okay. Because
a lot of people said that because no one's ever spent that. I've just been at home and I'm just like, what do I do?
Yeah,
I'm not going to go to work.
I hated
especially
it.
if you were furloughed. Like,
yeah, but I did hate it.
Well, yeah, because you love your job.
Well, it's not just that. My kids were very young. No, it's true. It's true. So I don't mind saying it. My kids were very young and at very different stages. And it was my wife was still working. So
from home?
No.
She was sent to work.
She was going to work, and
you
it was
were
just
left with
me
holding
and
the
them.
baby.
Yeah, and it was. I felt like I was having a breakdown every day.
I know a lot of people had like renewed respect for teachers after that.
Absolutely.
To teach at home.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
it was good entertainment for everyone else except you, though, because you did.
I did do
daily
videos for a while.
Yes,
yeah.
I remember that. Yes.
I did watch. In fact, actually, I watched. There's one. I mean, there's many, but there's one I think is painfully cute, and because my daughter being much older now, I mean, she's still very cute, but she's lost that element of she doesn't entirely know what she's saying.
Right, yeah.
And the randomness and the funniness. And there's one where we're in her Wendy house, which I'm calling a fallout bunker, and we're having a tea party, and everything she does is like, you prepared for this, didn't you?
Yeah.
You've planned this. Right at the end when I hold my cup up and say cheers, and then she does this really massive like cheersing of the cup,
Clunk.
and it's perfect. and there's another one where I'm pretending to be a taxi driver and I'm ferrying her about town. That's really good. But mainly people like that one because I say something that's rude.
Okay.
There's a bit where she's trying to find her imaginary money. And she starts to pull her top up, and I say, "Don't pull your top up, madam. I'm not that sort of taxi driver." And then there's a bit where she goes off to her supposed day at the park, and I'm like, "Bye, I love you." And I turn to camera and say, "I shouldn't have said that. It's not very professional of me." So yeah, there was looking back on it. I have fonder memories just looking back at the videos, but I do remember all the crying.
Oh yes,
and
that was just you.
Yeah, it was just me. But there were ages where it was a lot of like emotion. They don't have control of their emotions.
No,
and they don't know how to express it. No patience.
No patience. No.
So it was.
They don't know what they want.
No, and they don't know how to tell you the thing that they actually want. So. We all were just getting very frustrated, and that was my experience.
But if you don't have children, it was great.
Yes,
very different perspectives here.
I was just a cliche in the fact that we set up a little cinema in the garden. So, So went
nice.
from one cinema, and then we had an old bit of the Screen 2's projection screen. So we were like, we'll stick that on the shed. Get a little projector and sit out, and because it was so warm, you could like sit out at night and just enjoy a film.
See, that's what I wanted.
Yeah,
and to be fair, my wife is superb, and she understands that if I don't get some films in me, I rot away inside. Yeah. And when she came back from work, she'd be like, "Right, I'll look after the kids. You go and sit and watch a film." Yeah. And I remember what my birthday fell into one of the lockdown dates, and she was like, "What do you want to do? It's your birthday and it's lockdown." And I said, "Well, there's two
films all day.
There's 2 films, and they're both over 2 hours, and I want to watch them both. leave me alone."
In the dark.
She said, "Okay."
Yeah, she did. It was
nice.
It was annoyingly the one I can never remember its name. It's Flesh and Blood, I think. The Paul Verhoeven sort of medieval film with Rutger Hauer, and Midsommar, the director's cut of Midsommar, which I hated. So, you know,
fair enough.
One great film, one film I hated. But
if you're into films, you expect that. You're gonna something you're gonna like. But it's the not knowing that's part of it, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
And you still get things from films that you don't like.
That's true.
If you're into films.
There was a couple of bits in Midsommar I quite liked, but yeah.
Again, that's another argument, I think, as well, just for, like, even if it's a film that you don't like, if you've seen it with other people, you're going to be able to, like, talk about how bad it was.
It's weird how... Have you noticed, like, your perspective on a film is different if you watch it on your own versus if you watch it with other people?
I think that is true.
I find I laugh at different things. Sometimes I've laughed at a different bit, or I found it funny when I'm watching other people that I might have... Napoleon Dynamite was that one.
Oh, interesting.
I watched it on my own, and I thought it was pretty funny, and then it became this cult thing, and a lot of my mates watched it, and I found it hilarious.
Yeah. You quote it. I mean, you've got...
Maybe it's just one of those films where you pick up different things when you watch it the second time. But
laughter is infectious.
I was going to say, you've got very infectious laughter, and the fact that if we have a staff screening, I feel like, Andrew's laughter kind of almost like...
Who doesn't like laughing? Laughing is amazing.
So it just keeps you... I mean, we can watch... But any old crap. And
sometimes I feel I've tricked you all, because it's got to I've laughed all the way through a film, and at the end I've gone, that film was absolutely terrible.
I was faking it.
It turns out I was just laughing at it rather than with it, laughing in disbelief.
Yes, yeah.
Sometimes, but yeah. So yeah, no, I'm glad you said that, because I feel. I feel I'm like a virus.
We'll just leave it there.
And we're done.
I don't know. I feel like I get into people's minds, and then I think, I think some people have seen a film, not liked it, and then I've made them like it because I
had a gun.
Yeah,
get in there and watch it again.
People have actually said, it's like, God, your enthusiasm for that film makes me think I didn't get it. And it's like, that's right, you're wrong and I'm right.
Yeah, I used to have a bit of a hang up about that. Like, I wanted people to like music that I liked or films, but as I've got older, like, I don't care. Like, I like it if you don't like it. Yeah.
I don't know
why that comes from. I don't know what that means, but
I don't mean to do it. It's just people ask my opinion, and it's like they don't realize what a Pandora's box that is.
Yeah.
I don't mean to sort of twist someone's thoughts and make them feel they're wrong. It's just
one thing
I'm
I do
enthusiastic.
remember we talked about last time was, what films have you ever walked out on? There's only ever been one for me. I did say this on the last one was, and I always forget which one it is: Escape from New York or Escape from LA, whichever the second one was.
LA.
Yeah.
Shit.
Fair enough.
But I only watched it like half, and me and my mates were just like, "This is shit," and we walked out. But I've never watched it again, so I would like to watch it again.
I can say, this is where I can work my magic. Watch it again.
Yes.
Because most of the things in it have come true.
Okay, right.
And that's the weirdest part. After Trump, that film is gobsmacking. Firstly, the president has very Trumpy-like hair.
You're like, is that a toupee?
Yeah, a bit, yeah. He's it's the actor that plays Uncle Ben in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films.
I'm never going to remember.
No, his name escapes me. But so yeah, and he's in that he's like a televangelist TV personality, but nevertheless he's a TV personality that becomes president.
Yes.
There's a snake whilst he's in LA meets a young lady who is, I think, of Muslim descent, and her crime to be in LA is that she is Muslim, and that almost happened in America. Trump was proper pushing for that.
Oh yeah.
And do you know what? Just watch it. There's numerous other things in it where it's like, if you really look for it, it's like, oh my God, this is...
I was probably like 15, 16, so...
Because it came out mid-90s.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was crap back then, but unfortunately world events made it somewhat relevant.
Watching a film again when you're older.
Yeah.
That's completely... Like, have you aware of the podcast Sofa Cinema Club?
Oh,
so
no.
Three of the guys from Coronation Street.
Look,
but they're all Ben Price. He's a good actor in his own right.
Yeah.
But they know a lot about movies and they're movie buffs. But so they pick a film. You watch it at home and then they watch it.
Yeah.
And then they all come in. They discuss it. But they give the synopsis. They talk about the director. They look up. They give you tips and not tips, but they give you like things that you didn't know about the film. Stuff that happened. But they always pick, like, so they'll take turns picking a film, and then one week the audience will vote for a film, so you get a different cross section.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they always look at film. They'll pick a film that they used to watch, haven't seen since they were a kid, or when they were much younger, and they're like, yeah, I loved it, and then I watch it now. It's not that good. All the reverse happens.
Yeah, it happens.
So that's why I always that's one of my favorite podcasts, actually, Sofa Cinema Club. But that got me into, like, you look at the list of films, even if you've just described now, you go back to the list of films, you're like, it's interesting the difference if one of the episodes is a film that I know and love versus a film that I wanted to see but I never got to, or a film that I don't know anything about. It's like you still get to, I feel like I know something about those films now, even if I haven't seen them.
Yes,
you know what I mean? So, which I really like. So
I think that reappraising of films constantly. Again, another thing, we were mentioning this before, that film lives on because there's new perspectives on film, different. So, I mean, I listen to a lot of kind of film podcasts as well, and it's kind of maybe there might be like queer perspectives on horror, or mostly I listen to kind of horror film podcasts, but it might be like kind of black perspectives on horror films as well, and look at it, and that's what keeps film going, and that conversation, and again, it works on a personal level on that sense as well, as you say, coming back to something that you may, I mean, I always feel like there's that thing where people watch The Exorcist when they're younger, and it's almost kind of laughable to when you're a teenager, and then you come back to it later, and it's actually horrifying, and that, I think that can change.
I suspect, I suspect watching it being carefree and young, it's nothing. Going back to it as a parent, and it's terrible. There's the Stephen King book, but they did make into a film, Cujo. No. Cujo. It's basically it's a rabid dog and a mother and a child stuck in a car on a sweltering hot day, and this dog's basically going to kill them. It's killed the owner, and the owner's like a mechanic, and they've brought this knackered car up to the yard basically, but the car doesn't work, so it's just conked out on them. They can't drive it away. They can't get out of the car because this mother and child are going to get killed by this dog. And I mean, you laugh, but like when I was young, I just thought it was a good film. But after having my daughter, I watched it, and I'm not one of these people who go, oh no, I won't watch that because of this. It actually made it a significantly better film because of my investment in this mother and child. And I don't know who the child actor is, but he's phenomenal. He does a really good job of being terrified and like feeling like he's going into a fit of like losing control and just with the fear. And it's so good.
Yeah, sounds good.
Kid actors aren't always good.
No, God, no.
But whoever he is, he's very good.
Yeah, you talk about having kids. I cry a lot more.
Yes.
I get emotional about things like, why am I crying about this?
Yeah.
Why? But I don't care anymore.
No, and you
just go with it.
Is that just a getting older thing? I found that.
It could be.
Oh yeah, it's that as well.
It's a combination of that and having my daughter. Having my daughter has just made me more. I don't know. My perspective on everything's changed. So I don't know if I'm more accepting of things or I just don't care because I've got different priorities now.
You'll be very aware of danger, and then you're more in tune with other people in a similar situation.
Yeah.
And how it could potentially feel if you were in such a situation.
Yeah, I think getting older has something to that as well. Be more empathetic of people's situations. I'm always thinking, what does it mean for other people? Put myself in other people's shoes. Where I don't think I did that as much when I was younger. It's just an age thing.
I'm a big crier.
All life's born criers.
Not in real life though. I don't know. Like outside of film, not really a crier. Watching films, it's just like that's where all the emotion comes out.
Yeah.
Sometimes documentaries or a series.
Yeah.
Just something just grabs you and you're just like, I'm
I
welling up here.
I watched. I didn't cry, but I was very close. I watched a documentary about Little Richard that's on iPlayer at the moment. It's called the King and Queen of Rock and Roll.
Oh yeah.
And he has had an extraordinarily sad life. And I knew a lot of things, but good grief, the things he had to face. I mean, just alone being a gay black man in like the 1950s must have been horrific.
It's like Marvin Gaye, innit?
Well,
Marvin Gaye was gay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Coincidence?
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't know that at all. But yeah, it just seems like a nightmare of a thing. Like he's already like frowned upon for just the color of his skin, but then his own people would be turning on him as well because he's
there's no allies whatsoever.
It was such a sad documentary, although I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
But mainly because it's littered with Little Richard music, and that is some of the best music ever. So yeah. Yeah, big, highly. I know. I'm trying to get people into the cinema, but if you're gonna be at home, watch that Little Richard documentary on iPlayer.
I was going to say, have you noticed that like say Star Wars, they're not doing films anymore? It's more series.
Yeah, that is a thing.
That's a shift.
It is, but
is that a big shift overall? Not just with Star Wars, but with anything.
Yeah, just generally.
The studios are making it. They're making series rather than films now.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about it, though, you can tell a story a lot better in detail if you break it up into, like, 9 hours rather than trying to cram stuff into an hour and a half and have to cut content because of time.
That's true, but that Obi-Wan Kenobi series should have been a film.
Yes.
Good grief, what a lot of dawdling that had.
Yeah, that could have made a film. But The Mandalorian, I would not want that to be a film.
No, but I'm actually not a fan of The Mandalorian. I've watched every episode, but I
love The Mandalorian.
But it annoys me on a weekly basis.
What annoys you about it?
Loads of things.
Okay.
It's so stupid. Why does he want to hang about with a bunch? Why does he want the respect of people that you can't take off a helmet? There was a scene where they were drinking soup and they had to lift the helmet up a little bit of soup. I was like, that seems rubbish. You people are terrible.
It's one of my favorite. It's my favorite Star Wars thing is The Mandalorian out of everything.
Nice.
I also think because of The Mandalorian, it wrecked Boba Fett. Because
they kind of shoehorned. It was like season 2.5 was in the middle of the Boba Fett, wasn't it?
But also, you can't have two series where you've got two lads with the same helmet.
Yeah.
You can't do it. It's like you shouldn't have never done Mandalorian. They should have done it Boba. Do it the same.
Yeah.
But make that be Boba Fett.
Yeah,
You've already got a lad wandering around with a helmet.
I was surprised by that. I mean, I liked it, but I was very surprised. I was like, all of a sudden, and like they did a couple of episodes where it's just Mandalorian. I was like, I thought I was watching Boba Fett.
Yeah, and then the Boba Fett series is just, it was slow and it was just poor and it didn't.
The ending was a bit.
Yeah.
I guess what they're trying to do is they're building the world around it, aren't they?
They are, yes.
Because ultimately it'll help their IP in terms of going, okay, we can do more, we can branch out and make more things to make more money. If it's ultimately down to the studio, then that's why it's happening. I do like The Mandalorian. I haven't seen the new season though, so I don't know.
I just remember once upon a time we just had 3 films. An animated Ewok series, an animated droid series, and 2 TV movies about the Ewoks. And that's all I needed in the 80s. And I just feel like Star Wars has got completely out of control.
Bloated.
Yeah. But, you know, I loved The Last Jedi and I loved Rogue One.
Yeah, I like Rogue One.
I'm not wild about Solo, but it is fun.
Yeah.
Right. But I could have been happier with them not pursuing anymore.
I think people, I don't know, there's a story well told that has a conclusion and doesn't need to go anywhere else is maybe sometimes the best way to go. And just leave things to the imagination rather than retreading everything.
Spin-off series of stuff. Yeah. Do you know, right, so we've just had Creed 3 come out.
Yeah.
And they're already saying, we're going to do a spin-off series where it's about Creed's daughter. It's like,
spin-offs of spin-offs.
Yeah. Who wants that? Who could even want that?
Before I forget, I did have a parody moment in real life to Mandalorian.
Oh, go on.
You know that bit where, spoiler alert here, where they put...
Is it in season 3?
Yes.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's not an actual... it's not a plot spoiler.
Is it not? All right.
Where they put him inside that droid thing.
Oh, yes.
And he's like bashing around the office and he's just like, yes, pressing that button. My daughter had this pad thing the other day and it was just 1 or 2 and she was going, one, all around town. One. I was like, can you stop it? I was like, turn it off. Oh, God. And that was like the next day.
Yeah.
Because I watched it and my wife isn't watching it, but I was like, I showed her that bit. I was like, oh, that's the kind of thing Rosie would do. That was the next day.
Does your kid watch Bluey?
Just starting to.
Right, because there's a Bluey where the younger one gets a button that only says yes and no. And I was like, right, so the Mandalorian's now nicking from Bluey. For those who don't know, Bluey is an Australian cartoon that
is quite funny, actually.
Yeah, it makes parents feel great.
She does watch Shaun the Sheep.
Oh, yeah, well, that's lovely.
Funny.
Yeah, I like Shaun the Sheep.
I'm laughing at that.
Yep.
That's the stuff like that.
Vic Reeves does the song.
Yes. Yeah. That's about it. Oh, this Nick Coates Popcast, which doesn't translate in a song very well. When he says that, you just like
it's the Nick Coates Popcast.
Yeah. And I'm like, I didn't like it at first. I didn't want to like it, but and then I'm going, damn him and his catchy songs.
Yeah, the one about the
Ralph
dragon
is a rusty
robot.
the
the dragon called Keith that goes to the
dragon,
goes to the rides his bike to go to the second-hand shops is incredible.
Sounds like.
But we digress.
Yes.
Back into parenting mode. Anyway,
he was a proper pop star in the early 90s. I forget his band, but him and his brother had a band, and they were on top of the pops and all that jazz.
Can we pull up Nick Cope?
Yeah. Cope.
C-O-P-E. Is it Cope? Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely had a band in the 90s.
I want to see this.
But yeah, so
that makes sense. Yeah.
The Candy Skins.
That's it. Yeah.
Can we see it on here?
Yeah. Is that him?
That's the fella.
That's him.
Oh wow! He looks so young there.
I think he still looks young, except for all of his white hair.
Yes,
he's got the Philip Schofield.
He dresses like an old man in it as well.
He does,
though.
yeah. Yeah, he's lovely. I love Nick Cope, and my kids love him. That's the most important thing.
Oh, look at him.
Yeah.
Wow. What else did I want to? There's something I want to. You guys, I want to pull up. Pull up the
what?
Their social. Pull up Instagram. Who does your social media?
Kind of me. Jasmine does it as well. Jasmine Cinema. She does the Instagram, which is more like the better part of our social media.
I was thinking the other day, do you do TikTok? But I was thinking, what would they actually do?
We had a staff. We still do have a staff member, but she's gone to university now.
You need somebody who's like in it and on that all the time.
She was doing it.
Yeah.
She was doing it all the time, and I featured in too many of them. To be honest, I'm not very keen because I felt like it removed any authority I might have had if I have to tell someone off.
So are these all like you did these all look very like a formula. Did you guys?
This is Jasmine who does this. So
that's good. That's really good.
Yeah, all the kind of Instagram posts and things. Yeah, and there's some good memes on there as well every so often, like film related
of course.
ones.
Yeah, everyone loves a meme.
There's a good John Wick one I think further down. Where's it at? That one on the right there, just to the right.
With the brick wall?
The brick wall, yeah. There we go.
Right.
Dad, John Wick is back again, killing large numbers of people. That's good. Yeah, stuff like that. It's just...
Yeah, I mean, this is... And that's... I mean, we did... So, yeah, one of the younger members of staff who set up the TikTok, I mean, we were getting a lot of young kids coming in going... Oh, you're off the TikTok. Oh, you're off.
Yeah, that's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So it worked on kind of, reaching those audiences. And actually, one of the big things that I think we saw after COVID is that kids were coming back to cinema and younger people and teenagers, whereas historically, cinema has had difficulty getting that kind of 16 to 30 age in. And obviously, I mean, there's definite reasons why after COVID, younger people would be the ones who return more, but we have seen young audiences come back quite a lot, really. So that's something that I think we need to kind of keep going as well, and catering to
the youth angle.
Yeah, like social media and young people, the kind of audience that you need to engage. They need to be engaged with.
Yeah. Yes, that is true.
Plus, if they're the ones who are going to keep cinema going into the future.
The next generation.
So
yes, yeah.
It's important to be able to give a space for them. I think especially in Penrith when there's not as much for kids and younger people to access, it's really important to have like the cinema to be a space for them, and just to be open to everyone. I think that's also important.
I think you're achieving that, but it's just we're in such a weird sort of like transitional period where
that is
it's like we've got a veil over us and we don't really know what's going to happen and where it's going to go.
I think that's it. If we can keep going through this next year, I think we could see things get better. It's just I think there is still that we're in such a strange time. We're in such a strange
It's just uncertainty, isn't it? Come and see as many films as you can before we are obliterated by nuclear weapons.
Do so for £5.
Yes.
What more can we do?
I heard a very weird criticism of the cinema when you started
weird
putting your campaign out. Yeah. It was just simply, well, more people would go if they had better films on.
Well, I'll do you one.
That's just a matter of opinion.
I know, but I'll do you one more than that.
Oh yeah.
Someone said they'd like to support us, but all of our films are too wokey.
Oh, no. Yeah. That's just a soundbite.
It is,
isn't it?
And
really?
I mean, to pick one, I don't know how.
I took a screenshot of something happened on yours the other day.
You're not making the films. You're just showing what films are out there.
Yeah, and I don't know how wokey John Wick for.
and two, what was my second point? I've forgotten. How do you know if the films are no good if you're not going to see them?
Well, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you're
just making an assumption.
You saw a cross section of films, those different types of films. How can they all be woke?
But
that doesn't make any sense.
The criteria for someone saying something like they'll say Super Mario Brothers is woke because in this film he has to rescue Luigi as opposed to rescue the princess. That's woke because the princess is she's not a damsel in distress. But it's ridiculous.
It's just nonsense, people, isn't it?
Have you got like screenshots of your best feedback, good and bad? You should do that.
No, I mean,
I don't
Hall of Fame.
You should do
in your office.
You should do like bad tweets or something.
Are we ballsy enough
have
to
you
put
seen,
the bad things up?
Have you seen so in America there's the Alamo Draft
know
House,
about
which
it,
if you do have
there's the what, sorry?
Alamo Draft House. It's a cinema. It's like I don't know if they're a chain or a kind of smaller independent chain. I'm sure if you've got like US listeners, they'll be aware of it. But a few years ago, in their marketing, utilised a voice message that had been left after
voice feedback kind of thing.
It was someone complaining that they'd been told to be quiet and switch their phone off.
They've been told to turn the phone off, so they left this angry voice message saying, "I have a right. This is America.
I pay my money. I
can
can do what I want when I'm in there." Yes.
So they utilised it as marketing, which I think is a very clever thing to do. And to be fair, I think that there is a possibility to kind of focus on the negative. Majority of the time, we get lovely feedback, and like most people are absolutely lovely. And
but some of it stands out because it doesn't fit in with everything. We had this when my band, our debut album, was getting great reviews, and one was just terrible. It was just like all one word. It was this, half a star at this. So we just put it up. So this is our latest review, and people just jumped on it and just like, and I was like
that's a weird psychology thing. People don't like to give good feedback or go out of their way to do it, but they absolutely love to shit on
give bad
shitty
feedback.
People.
Yes.
So
that is weird.
If someone asks a question, the person that answers the question well won't get noticed, but if someone answers it very wrong, everyone will rush to that wrong person to correct them.
Yeah, or they're looking for a reaction for you to like blow up or I don't know, say something like in anger or something like that, rather than just like give a.
It's just
weird.
sad, isn't it? I mean, to be fair, I may seem all relaxed and calm now, but my legs hurt actually because I'm terrified of saying the wrong thing. So tense. I've realised my legs have been tense all the way through this. And
well, if you're not going to relax here,
no, I know. But there is a fine line. I do feel like a bad comment seen by the wrong people,
especially like somewhere where we're sort of so word of mouth based and it has such an impact.
And
it's like the bad TripAdvisor reviews.
Oh,
and stuff like
yeah.
That, I mean, you get venues or companies responding to them like, don't do that. You're just going to go downhill.
I do get disheartened. I'm not bulletproof.
Those bad comments don't match up with all the other comments.
Yeah,
so that's just on them. It's just on the person who's left the comment.
Occasionally, you've got to consider that occasionally the person complaining is a lunatic.
Or they've just got stuff going on.
Yeah.
I've
they've never even been to the cinema.
Yeah, but generally on social media, I've looked at people who have been horrible to people or just saying stuff that's just not right, and you look at them, and that's all they do.
Yeah.
That's just it's more on them than. So I tend to just let it go over.
I think being like a small business as well, I think it's possible to take things a little bit too personally. The other night, I won't say what it was, but the other night I did message you immediately after we'd received a comment about something, and it just really kind of.
Sorry, I know what you mean. Yes,
just because we're trying a lot of different things at the minute, and trying to like positively put these changes in and keep things going. And then suddenly we had a comment about something that we were doing.
I wonder if his wife took a screenshot of, because it was just a few days ago.
It was a few days ago.
I wouldn't necessarily to focus on the person, but
I forgot to take a screenshot of what you posted, but the comment was, so I don't mean to be that person.
It is this one, yes. But they apologised.
They did.
They did
yes.
apologise.
Yeah, I know. It's just, should I not read out?
Maybe best not.
No, it's fine.
I don't want to. We don't want to name and shame.
But yeah, I thought you guys are trying new things.
Yeah,
so...
but
that's hilarious.
That person made a mistake and apologised for
know who
it.
that person is.
Fair enough. Well, they apologise, and that's what's important. In the same way that.
Well, you had that conversation in public, so it didn't escalate or it didn't go sideways.
We're not always perfect.
But people do that. People, have you noticed? That's just a knee-jerk reaction. They just saw something, they just had a brain fart.
Yeah.
And you've said, we're just trying something different. This is what we did. And then they've gone,
it was your response, and
then they've
perfect.
gone, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Is it long? Can I read it?
Yes.
I feel like I'm missing out on something
It's
great.
not long.
All right.
Don't read it. It's got a spoiler for the Mandalorian in it.
Well,
It doesn't. It doesn't.
at the cinema.
I think it was more like someone didn't expect someone else to see it, or like that we'd see it necessarily. I think there's also kind of there is a mindset that is kind of like thinking that because we're a cinema, we're some kind of big business. There is often people tend to think that like we've got a marketing team or a finance team, when ultimately it's just me and Andrew.
Yeah, it's a small team.
and Jasmine,
Jasmine
as well,
doing the social media,
and then obviously Alan choosing the films and trying to make the right decisions on pricing and whatnot.
But sometimes you don't think it is better to have a small team and just you're doing it yourselves rather than being as part of a big chain where you've got people above you like making decisions over your head. And...
It's certainly easier to control.
Yes, it's good to communicate.
You're more in control of the situation than like other people could be.
Yeah, and we don't have to have any kind of big meetings or anything.
No,
maybe once in a while.
I was going to say but sometimes it probably is good to have
a quick email or Facebook message is like enough, and we're aware.
Yeah, obviously there's the business side of things like health and safety and things that you've got to kind of have meetings around. But in terms of the general film, we talk all the time anyway. We're also messaging outside.
But sometimes you do need to get everyone together.
Yeah. So that's the thing. But we are a small team, and I think it works because of that. I mean, the other thing is though that I think there is an assumption that maybe because people assume there is like a marketing team or a finance team, we can just do all of these things, but
I'll call my people. They'll talk to your people.
Yeah.
Once again, we had, we've had a lot of suggestions that, in most businesses, yes, I think they would be valid, but people didn't quite understand how we work and can work. That we can't focus on those sort of things in some instances. Annoyingly, we found out the other day that someone did suggest, and I thought was an excellent idea, but for contractual reasons we can't pursue it, which I won't go into. But that was a shame. I thought that was going to be a good avenue, but never mind. But once again, there's all little things. Sometimes just a wall, and it's like, well, we can't pass that wall, but we can do this instead. And once again, it really just does come down to people just need to come and watch a film.
At the end of the day, that's what's come from this. Is people just need to go to the cinema. You've made it as easy as possible. £5 tickets.
Yes.
Well, it relates to a lot of creative things in the area as well, I think, and the arts in the area. I don't know if you've... I don't know actually if you've had Tom from Plug and Play on, or if you might do.
It was one of our earlier episodes.
Yeah, so Tom's obviously really passionate about kind of arts in the area,
local scene,
and local scene, and it's the same for music in the, as I'm sure you're aware as well. Getting people to access,
just getting people to go to gigs again as well.
Yeah,
but it's strange, and the difference with that is people are still prepared to pay stupid amounts of money to see the big acts, but when you go down the scale, then not so much.
Yeah, and also, I mean, tribute acts as well is
a
thing.
A lot of venues, that's their bread and butter now, is just tribute acts.
That's
because I have a weird relationship with that, because I like tribute acts of bands that are no longer exist. So if you get a really good tribute band, that's the best you're going to get.
Yes.
Versus tribute bands who are like making money off an artist who's still currently being an artist.
Isn't there it's weird. Isn't there a festival just that
I want to see.
Want to see, that's it. And that's like
I went to it a couple of years ago. I had a great time.
Yeah.
Apart from, if I've told this before, the Green Day, that Green Day on, who were amazing, and then I got a bit closer and I was like, There's 4 of them. You can't add a member to one of the world's most famous trios. You just can't do that. God. I'm leaving right now.
That's like the first requirement of a tribute act. Is having the correct number of people.
Accurate.
I think so.
But yeah, I get it. People got to make money.
But yeah, and I think obviously that props up places as well. It's just how do you get people to access new things or things that they're not necessarily aware of before, which relates to kind of local music or upcoming music and things, or
food as well.
Film, like films that with our alternative obviously as well. But like just
imagine a deal where like you worked at a restaurant, like for £15 you could go to this restaurant, eat a meal for like I don't know what it like a meal, and then go to the cinema.
Yeah, that's the thing we have done in the past. I
suppose you've got an Indian restaurant right next door.
Yeah, we tried to work with that, but the problem, not necessarily with the Indian restaurant, but the issue is the times
True.
people want to eat, time people want to watch a film.
Yeah.
And
you again were holding your finger over the play button, waiting for them to show up.
Could be, yeah. So
it's a weird time where you've got
it is a weird
differently than you would have.
It's a weird time, and yes, we're trying to diversify, but at the same time, people need to understand that although we're happy to listen to suggestions, not all of them are viable.
To the cinema.
Yeah,
yeah. Or just go and do things in town. Go and experience things that people are putting on, because there are definitely creative people in the area
Absolutely.
that are doing things, and they just need the support to kind of be able to, because you can, even if you're passionate about something, you can really kind of start to falter a little bit and maybe lose that strive to keep doing things if there's actually no.
Well, it is a fact that COVID had knocked people's motivation.
Yeah,
and it's not just going out and enjoying the things; it was work as well. Yeah. Some people have,
but also, like we said, they've made their home setup a lot more easy, like bigger screen, sound bar.
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm going to subscribe to this and subscribe to that, so I've got all these options in front of me.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, I completely understand that. I obviously subscribe to.
Well, you
Netflix.
love films, so yeah.
I have Netflix. I have Disney Plus.
Yeah.
That all those jobbies, and then, but
it's a flexibility thing, isn't it?
It is. You've still got to want to just go out.
Yeah.
Flexibility and convenience is a really valuable. Like commodity concept, really. Like,
nobody wants to become the people from Wall-E.
That's what we feel like.
Obese in floaty seats with a monitor that comes round for us to enjoy. Yeah, I understand. Like and I don't want anyone to think that I'm suggesting I'm better than anyone else, because I'm the same. I've just things where I've been like, I don't want to go out. I don't know.
Well, I like the social experience of going to the cinema.
Yeah, I mean,
and going to gigs. It's like things that can't really be replicated. So
that's it. It's because we talked. I can't remember I was talking to you about this or with Jasmine, but going out to a gig and the pub is still something that it's difficult to replicate. You can't, well, a gig, definitely. You can't replicate that at home.
Yeah.
But cinema's the thing that's taken the knock.
Yes.
Because that has been, to an extent, replicated at home. Yeah. In my opinion, it is not replicated at home terribly well. But other people don't feel that way.
Yeah.
And
it depends how you view, if you view kind of passively or...
Yes, yeah. And once again, we're going around in circles.
Yeah, but this is why I got you guys on anyway, because I feel like we got to the crux of the situation. Is like what's going on with you guys? You need people to go to the cinema.
Yes,
you've made it as cheap as possible.
Yes,
let's see what happens. So we'll put this out, and hopefully some people will come to the cinema.
Well, yeah, like I say, it just needs. It's always going to be busy in holiday times, but it can't.
It's the other times.
Yeah, it can't sustain itself just being busy outside of like when it's school holidays. Fine.
Yeah, but it's the other times, isn't it?
Yeah. It just needs to be all the other.
Yeah. So, but one thing I must ask, because somebody asked me yesterday, is do you have a list of all your like top earning films of all time at the cinema?
Oh, we do.
Yeah, you can.
I could have brought that along, couldn't I?
I don't think that's anyone's business.
However, I do. I think I can stream some more. I mean, top of my head, it will be.
Let's guess. Come on, let's guess.
This is since our records go from 2012 with our new digital
system, is it?
Yeah,
yes.
system. So
okay.
from then,
from 2012 onwards.
So what? Most popular films in the cinema.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have a rough list of what would have been before that? Or idea?
We have an idea, but I guess not really because. I don't know.
It's all paper.
Previous management, and
that's true. Yeah. So,
right.
But started 2012.
Wow.
So think last decade. Really, that's probably the best.
Top Gun Maverick.
That's up there, but not
No,
all
that's
the
thrown
way.
me was just
I
Think pre-COVID.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was going to say just on Top Gun Maverick. I went to watch that 3 times at the cinema.
Oh, good.
And I've never done that for a film ever.
I've still not seen it.
Have you not?
That is a good big
that was
Yeah, everyone says it's
great
great.
on the
So
cinema.
Saw it at Penrith and then at Redhills twice.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah, unbelievable film, great stuff. So Avengers Endgame, how about that?
Yeah, I was going to say something he's superhero, Marvel-y, DC kind of thing is going to be up there.
I wish I had the list here.
The problem with the Marvel films is they have very, very strong opening
The problem is
weekends.
there's so many of them.
Well, there's that. Strong
And
opening.
I'm not even into that, so there's not even
strong opening weekends and then big drop-offs for
dip,
them.
yeah.
Whereas there's one man who stands alone in cinema.
Batman.
No.
Superman.
He's got Robin.
But
There's one man, and he consistently sells out.
Spider-Man.
No. He's not a superhero.
Iron Man.
He's sort of a superhero, but he's not. You wouldn't call him a superhero.
Also, just on that
Tech
note,
looks perplexed.
Whenever you put me on the spot, I can never think of anything.
Sweat coming down his head.
If it's a casual conversation, I'm just like complete.
He's cinema's best.
Shine a light in his eye.
He's cinema's best dressed hero.
and he's not a superhero.
No,
That's like that.
He has no powers.
And on that note, superhero films, although
He's already been mentioned in this podcast.
John Wick.
No.
Oh.
He has many, many films.
James Bond.
Yes.
There you go.
Right. Okay.
Those Daniel Craig Bond films, they staggering business.
They're the top two films.
Wow. Okay.
So actually,
So that franchise really needed that reboot, didn't it? Well, not reboot, but like shift to Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
Oh, here's a great question. So, what did you think of the latest Bond film? As a huge Bond
I love
fan
how
yourself,
I love how he prefixed that. Here was a great question.
Well,
Sorry, what was the question?
what
did I think of the most
here's a
recent?
question that could potentially get a really great answer.
when I saw it first time, bearing in mind when it came out, it had obviously been delayed for so long.
Oh yeah,
because it was supposed to come out in the April of 2020. I think it was the second film that was announced that they've pulled. The first, I think, was Quiet Place Part 2 was the first announcement it wasn't coming out. So anyway, we'd waited so long for No Time to Die. And when I saw it, I was just so happy that I was like, oh, it's a Bond film and it's back in the cinemas and it's gonna make so much money and I'm so happy and I just loved it. Then a year later, when I was watching all 25 in a row, and I'd had all the others week by week by week, and it got to that last one, I was like, this one's kind of crap. And yeah, I think that's where I'm going to land on No Time to Die. I loved it to begin with, but now I feel it was just the excitement to see Bond back in the cinema, and being a Bond fan, I was prepared to take on any old crap, I guess. But but yeah, that film is littered with insane problems, and it doesn't start with that film. The one before it, Spectre, that sows the seeds of the problem. The wackiest thing about all of it is, Spectre takes its cues from the Austin Powers film Goldmember. That thing where they were suddenly like, oh, what if Ernst Stavro Blofeld is Bond's brother? And then they were like, right, well, Blofeld is specifically the template for Dr. Evil. And in Goldmember, you made Dr. Evil his brother. You've proper gone mad with this. And then in the in No Time to Die, just to really jab that knife in, there's that bit where Bond goes to see Blofeld in prison behind glass, And the same thing happens in Goldmember. And I know in Goldmember they're referencing Silence of the Lambs, but nevertheless, they are proper digging in on the Austin Powers films.
And why not?
Yeah, it's like, well, I love the Austin Powers films, but I want these to be very separate entities. But the Daniel Craig films, I felt just vanished up its own
Avatar in there?
Oh, the first. Oh, but that's 2010, isn't the first one?
It probably would be up there, but if not for that. But
I think of any big juggernauts in the last sort of 10, 12 years.
Mamma Mia.
That would have been.
Oh, sorry, Mamma Mia. Here we goes again.
Here we goes again. Are they all Italian? It's on a Greek island, isn't it?
Yeah, here we go again. Yeah, that was the. I don't know what. I mean, the previous Mamma Mia was probably very busy as well, but Here We Go Again was one of our biggest selling films. So, yeah. On in terms of No Time to Die, I kind of middle ground. I'm not really a Bond fan, so
no, that's fair enough.
It was fine,
but its ultimate problem was I'd watched all the other films before it, and I love most. There's only one the worst one is Diamonds Are Forever. That's just my opinion. People might attack me on that, but no, that film's poor. But yeah, it was just it's like what we said earlier. You know, one viewing really good, another viewing not so much.
Yeah, time in between. Yeah,
only took a year though.
Well, yeah. So before we go, have you guys brought anything in to tell? News article, story?
Yeah, I
mean, we kind of touched already on kind of what I was going to bring up, which was just that David Lynch has gone back to kind of talking about. So, film director David Lynch has gone back to talking about how the death of cinema is down to people watching films on their phone. But this is a thing that he said a few years ago, and he's kind of brought it back up again.
If you go on YouTube, not now, just later, David Lynch does a parody iPhone commercial. It's splendid. It's just, like he basically goes, people think they have experienced the film, but they have been cheated. It's such a sadness that you think you've watched a movie on your fucking telephone. Get real. But it's playing the music that was in the iPhone adverts is playing underneath it. It's like that, and then it comes up iPhone whatever on the end. It's like, that's great.
Was he the guy that did that sort of medieval film with lots of big names in a few years back that flopped?
No,
not that. Do you know the film I'm talking about?
The medieval one.
Was it Adam Driver was in it, I think. Emma Stone was possibly in it. Was she?
What film is this?
Adam Driver met Last Duel. Ridley Scott.
Oh, Ridley. Yeah,
is that what it was?
Do you mean Last Duel?
Could have been that, yeah.
That did have Adam Driver.
That was Adam Driver.
Right. That was Ridley Scott.
Yeah, because there was that kind of flopped, and I think the director blamed streaming services and people viewing on phones.
Did.
They've now got an excuse, tools to blame.
Yeah,
blame Gen Z.
Well, the thing with David Lynch is he's not criticising anyone for the failure of any of his films. He's
Pull
just
him
saying,
up. I don't know what he looks like. I can't think.
He's the best looking.
I'm going to know him when I see him, but
he's
just the name.
He made Elephant Man, Blue Velvet, Wild at Heart.
Yeah,
this guy.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Twin Peaks.
Yeah,
the Twin Peaks. That's
Peaks
where I know
series.
his name from. Yes.
I really want, with us doing the classic films, I'd really like us to do some Lynch in there at some point, but we'll see.
We can show Blue Velvet.
How old is he?
Oh, he's 77.
Jeez.
So he's got to curmudgeon age. But he's earned it. He's earned his curmudgeon status.
He's got the best voice as well. Like it is what
it's
Andrew
very similar.
Possibly more nasally than your
very
impression.
accurate impression.
It's hard to go that nasally.
We need AI now to put like your face to his voice and see.
I'll do it.
And see what,
I'd love to do it. What do they call it? Is it face swap? No.
Deep fake.
Yes, I am ready to do deep fake, David Lynch.
Said no one ever.
We'll do it in the cinema.
The problem is, he says bonkers things, and I say bonkers things, but I don't know I don't know how could.
Have you seen the BBC TV series, The Capture?
No.
That's very similar to that. It's about correction software that can alter video and sound.
Oh, right, okay.
But used by getting into the wrong hands.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really worth
What's that on?
It's got, BBC, so it's on the iPlayer.
Oh, right, okay.
Watch the first one first.
Yeah.
But the first one starts with something that happens and someone gets arrested and he goes, I did that. And they show him footage and he goes, hold on. I didn't do that. That's not me. So events have happened, but there's evidence. But he didn't do it.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's good. It's like, just takes you down a rabbit hole. And you're like, some episodes end, and you're like, what? What? So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I mean that news story is just a continuous thing of it. Obviously, I mean, but I have nothing against people watching. I mean, I watch films on my iPad all the time because I'm often doing.
I only ever watch films at the cinema or on my big TV at home with my soundbar. That's it.
See,
I watch sitcoms.
I watch sport on a mobile device.
Yeah, well,
that's about it.
I watch old sitcoms on my iPhone.
Yeah, true, like YouTube and bits and bobs. Yeah. But if I actually wanted to watch a film, a phone would not be my chosen device.
No, when I'm programming the films at work, I've got a little stand with my phone on. It's usually got either Still Game on it, Motherland. What else do I watch? Oh, Man Down. I always watch Man Down as well.
Man Down's good.
Yeah.
All the Partridge things.
I do. Well, they've taken that off Netflix, though. Damn them. So my... Oh, sorry. Have you...
Yeah, no, that's fine, because we kind of talked about streaming and things anyway, so I was like, yeah, but that's fine.
Well, we almost touched on something I want to bring to the table. I'm really annoyed that that I keep getting shown on Facebook the headline... Woke teenagers have watched American Pie and they think it's deeply problematic. And I'm like, firstly, they're entitled to their opinion if they think that. Secondly, they've put that on their own social media, but you news site, you've taken that, tried to make that news and tried to force everyone into some kind of social war where we're all like, the youth, they don't understand. They don't understand American Pie. Oh, I'm glad I grew up in the 90s when we knew how to laugh. Now, I love American Pie. I watched American Pie 1 and 2 earlier this week because they're currently doing the rounds on Comedy Central.
Yeah.
I love them. And I was like, right, this is ridiculous. You're just trying to start a war between old folk and young folk.
Yeah, they like to get these little hand grenades and just take the pin out and just put it out there and see what happens. That's all they want.
It's completely unnecessary. And it got worse this morning. So I was already... Because you said you wanted this, and I was like, well, I'm going to talk about this. And it was American Pie all the way. It got even worse this morning. Wokey teenagers think Dude, Where's My Car is problematic. And I couldn't help but comment. I was like, to be fair... Dude, Where's My Car was shit back in the day. And all the people who were like, this film's a classic, they don't know how to laugh. It's like, that film is not a classic, shut up. This terrible news page has made you defend Dude, Where's My Car.
Yeah, that's it.
Now, don't get me, it's a fun film, it's got laughs. It is not a film to defend. Just either like it or don't, leave it alone. So, I'm tired of people taking what is probably one person's Twitter feed and suggesting that's news.
You've just summarised modern journalism
and
modern social media and modern.
Can't really call it journalism, can you?
No,
general
just
parlance.
Modern interaction. That's how the internet works.
They want clicks. They want it's all to like get debate. Just like it's like when reality shows they like set two opposite kinds of people. Let's put them in a room, see what happens.
Yeah, and it's
lazy. It's lazy.
I do not think we need the divide.
I don't think we need the tabloids or those kind of sites anymore. I just don't think.
But now more than ever, people just need to get on because there's a lot. There's
more important things to be worrying about.
There's legitimately, on the other side of the world, there's legitimately people getting killed for what, as I can fathom, is no reason at all.
Yeah. Other than someone's decided.
Yes. And it is that. It's literally someone decided. Someone got bored over COVID and thought a war would really pep me up.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's I cannot believe that people are pitting others against each other on social media for what is no reason at all.
No.
That's my thoughts on the subject.
So mine, to finish off on, have you got something to say?
No, well, I was just going to ask. You guys,
ask away. That's why we're here.
How often do you guys have to chuck people out of the cinema for being bastards?
Well,
do you need security
or tell people off?
He's offering his services.
I'm not. It's just that when I was last there was an incident that really rubbed me the wrong way. It was just a guy on his phone.
Yeah, I mean,
it's very often that we have to deal with it.
And then the time before that, there was some like kids pissing around in the front row. They were doing bottle flips, and it was noisy. There was like clunk, clunk. And I was.
Like, why are you here?
I know. I think the mother had brought them out on a day to watch a film, and they were sat by themselves. And I think the mother was up on the top.
Not
row.
giving a shit.
I was about to shout at them.
So there's two.
So he's 30 now. He's like,
I will address this because it is important to point out. Firstly, yeah, we do go in and monitor the screens. Annoyingly, though, our doors kind of make a bit of a noise. And in my experience, I've had folk come down and say people were acting very badly behaved in there. It's like, well, I came in several times and no one was doing anything. And they're like, yeah, they weren't doing it when you were in there. And it's like, maybe then you should have come and told me, because when I'm coming in, I'm not aware there's a problem, is a thing. But the other major bloody issue at the moment is we are well, not short-staffed is not the word, but we are skeleton-staffed because we can't afford to pay people.
Yeah.
So it's hard to have the monitoring we'd really like to do. But we put up this. Matt made this great thing that comes up at the start of all the films, which explains what you should do, and then if there is a problem, come and get a member of staff. But it also says, no talking, switch your phone off. Annoyingly, though, with that type of thing, usually the people who are messing about on their phones are looking at their phones.
They don't see that. Yeah.
But that comes up at the start of every screen. It's an etiquette. It's an etiquette post. What you should just do. Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad you brought it up, to be honest, because it happens. It absolutely happens. There was. Do you know what? I'm gonna tell this story. You probably don't want me to, but I will. There was.
What have I started?
There was an incident where an error had been made by a member of staff, and a absolutely severe cleanup had to occur in order for there not to be like Pepsi syrup all over the floor and whatnot. And it was a horrifically big cleanup. Unfortunately, that night there was some kids in who, maybe not kids, teenagers, whatever, who were absolutely terrible. And at the end of it, people came out and were like, was not one of the words that was a complete shit show?
Yeah, someone was really angry, and understandably
because that ruined it for them.
Yes.
So basically, what?
But the reason any monitoring hadn't, not this, I'm there, but the one that it was just incredibly annoying that on the night that the members of staff had to be cleaning up like drying syrup.
It was a Britvik machine. It had not screwed on properly, so all the syrup had kind of gone all over the floor.
So no one was monitoring the screens that night.
It was all hands on deck for that.
Yeah, pretty much, because there were only 2 people in.
Yeah.
To be fair, the one that had made the issue was sent home. He's better now. But anyway.
We've beaten it into him.
Yeah, but
he's recovered.
Yeah, the point is that bad nights happen. Yeah. The more we want people in, when we do want people in, the more I do worry. I think, the more people who come in, the higher the chances are that you get a dickhead or a gang of dickheads.
I think the thing is as well, when there's more people in, generally it's you don't get as much trouble because there's people surrounding them.
So self-police, don't they? Other people tell people to shut up, or they deal with
or
themselves.
even just like they become a bit self-aware. If there's only a few people in a screen, there's a group of kids, and they just mess around, and it's just. But it's
they forget that there might be only a handful of people over there, but they still really want to watch this film.
Yeah. It has always been a thing in cinemas where you've got to kind of we do watch the screens, and we have to watch them regularly. But it's so disheartening when it's happened and you haven't seen them do it and haven't been able to get, because generally what we'll do if they're messing around,
you want a staff member there all the time, wouldn't you?
Well, what we can actually
ideally yes, but there isn't the money to hire someone to sit and watch films all day.
We are looking, so this is one of the things that we're doing as well. We're looking with volunteer ushers as well, so that's opening this next week. We're gonna
this goes out on Monday, the 1st of May.
So if anyone wants to volunteer, it would be basically just sitting in the screen watching a film for free. But
you would have to bollock people.
Well, no,
sounds great.
Somebody at home going, oh, yes.
You'd get...
you'd come out and tell us, and
you get nunchucks, you get...
Oh,
I
don't know. It'd be mad if someone comes in who's like built like a brick shithouse and like, oh, I want to volunteer, and then be like, all right, but you have to come and tell me, and I have to kick him out. You with your muscles.
Well,
or you could just look at them and they might just shut up.
So the worst thing, the worst time I can think of, or one of the big times I can think of where this has happened, was actually in a Bond film. It was when Spectre was on, and I'd been ushering the screen. It was kind of, it got past the opening kind of titles, music, and then there was a conversation. And then suddenly in the screen, it was a packed out full screen. Suddenly, someone just went, "Shut the fuck up," like really loudly. And
that thing that we've all always wanted to do sometimes. Somebody did it.
I've been very close.
Yes.
But this person was actually, they were kind of in the wrong, because they were just shouting at some... There was basically a kid that was eating popcorn, and he just shouted at this child.
And it was a child.
It was like an actual child with the grandma.
Wow.
And so went in and was like, who was... I couldn't see, because I couldn't see necessarily who it was with full screen. No one kind of looked up or said it was them. So I went, paused the film, turned the lights up, went back in and went over to them. This guy, everyone pointed at who it was. This guy stood
Oh, that is excellent.
Remember, knock on your neighbours.
Which was nice.
Pulled out one of those massive wrestling hands with a point.
and then he decided he wanted to square up in the screen. But not realising that he had like 100-odd people around him that were against him. And so, but anyway,
it's like a drunk heckler at a comedy club, isn't it? They don't realise.
Yeah. So we got him out anyway. It was a bit awkward. We got him out. But ultimately, what we can do with the film now, because it's digital projection, is you can pause the film, bring the lights up, and then you can put it back a few minutes, or put it back 5 minutes, or if it's near the start, put it back to the start. So when that is,
it's not always possible based on the schedule of what's coming after.
No, but it depends how far back.
Yeah,
but there is the possibility for us to kind of sort this out. So we try and do it as much as possible. But yeah, this is a thing that we deal with quite often, really, isn't it?
Do you remember that giant of a man who looked like an experiment? He was just...
He had to sit at the back.
He did sit at the back, and he was his girlfriend had dragged him to it was called The Father, which was a film about it was Olivia Colman and Anthony Hopkins. Yeah, and has he got Alzheimer's? Something like he's deteriorating anyway.
Yeah.
So
this in the film, or this chap that came to watch?
Oh no!
They brought him because he's deteriorating. He used to be 7 foot, now he's only 6'5".
So this guy who, like I say, looked like an experiment. He had big chains and whatnot, and his girlfriend had dragged him along, and he clearly didn't know what he was coming to see, and he was being very vocal in the screen, and
he's like live reviewing it.
Yeah, and he ended up standing up and shouting at pensioners in the screen. So I had to go in and get him out, and he proper towered over me.
But someone came to you and went, so there's this guy, you've got to go and sort him out. And you go in, you looked at him and went, shit.
Pretty much, but I was like, no, they've said I'm going in. And I just did, and I thought all I can do is just be ballsy as fuck and just go for it.
Punch him in the face.
No, but I went in, I got him out. He was shouting the whole time. I never touched him. I got him to leave. I was even like, I'm just gonna wind him up as well. I was like, because I brought him. I was like, what in the hell is wrong with you? Why do you feel this is a way to live your life?
Yeah.
And he went like, I shouldn't be giving him a lecture, but I was. And he started going, it's just the way I am, and I'll not change. And we're these people.
Was he pissed? Must have been pissed.
He might have been.
He had some beer. There was cans on the floor, wasn't there?
Right. I can't remember that. But he was a mess. And at the end, the old folk came out. They thanked me. And one of them said, don't you worry. If he'd turned on you, we'd have had you back. And I was like, classic. I believe they would have, but we'd have all died that night. He was a galoot.
That's class.
But no, I'm glad you brought it up, because sadly, it 100% is is a problem.
It's a thing.
And
it always has been.
But it's worse.
It's harder
now.
for you to deal with now at the moment.
Well,
isn't
it is harder, but also it's got worse. Antisocial behaviour is on the rise.
Yeah.
Middlegate.
People just think they can just behave like that. It's just
the amount of teenagers that it gets to 10 o'clock at night and they're hanging outside the takeaways on Middlegate.
Yeah.
It's like what's this? What is this now? Why is this a thing?
Is this a social occasion or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go home, I'll stink the burgers.
Well, wait to discuss the film when they come out. Yeah. Of course you are.
So I understand. I understand, and I've kicked out my fair share, and I've been in other cinemas where there's been audible noises that have just.
I've been the bigger chains that have actually got security.
Yeah, and I wish we did. We did, but hopefully what you're suggesting is going to be.
Were you going to say something?
This was just the volunteer thing. So
hopefully that comes about, and hopefully that makes a difference. But at the same time, we don't want to run the risk of having a load of volunteers who are our best customers. Because then we lose out on that.
You in the film, like, something's going on over here. And they don't even see it. They're like, "This film's great."
well, I'm more thinking they haven't paid to get in.
Oh yeah, there's that as well. Yeah. Swings and roundabouts. So before we go, how long have we been going?
2 and a bit hours. 2 hours 18. Yeah. My experiences weren't quite as bad as what you said there. It was just one guy on his phone, but. Now that I'm older, I was just so aghast at the lack of etiquette that he showed.
Etiquette is the word.
It few and far between, and I think that's probably my only or one of the very few of those kinds of interruptions I've had in the cinema. Generally, it's all very normal and everyone's there for the same thing.
Yeah.
So they get on with it and there's no trouble. But this guy, his phone rang on loud, and it's that's annoying. And then he got up to leave the room, answered it while he was walking out, but he didn't walk out.
Just stood
he
at
walked
the back.
into the toilets.
Oh.
In screen 2, which are right there.
Yes, they are, yeah.
Talking as he's leaving the room, but then going to the toilets where I can still hear him because it's
even
echoing.
louder because it's amplified.
Yeah. It's why didn't you just leave the room entirely if you have an important call to take?
But younger people, I'm wondering if it's they don't do that. They go home. They usually watch stuff at home when they're on their phones. They get distracted. They think that they can just do that when you come to the cinema.
It could be, but I don't want to. I don't want to label.
Of course
anyone.
not. But I'm just trying to guess why is this happening.
I once sat in a screen.
I didn't say it was a younger person.
You got me.
I once sat in a screen full of old people, and there was an old person next to me commenting the whole way through the film.
God,
it's just he was furious at the way the nuns had treated Philomena in the film Philomena.
Plus, you can also understand a group of kids going together and just kind of messing around a bit and enjoying themselves in that sense, and as if they're not disturbing people. But it's when it's when it's grown adults who are just I'm just gonna have my phone out all the way through while I'm sat right next to someone.
You see it at the beginning and you think, they'll put their phones away in a minute. And they just don't.
Yeah.
All people who can't just carry on. They were talking before it started and they just carried on talking. Why are you here?
What I've done is I've gone in for knowing that the trailers are just about coming to an end. And then before the film starts, you always get a moment of silence.
Yeah,
and you
lights
just
go down. And
and you just wait and you see the phones. And I have just stood at the back and I've gone, there is no reason at all for anyone to have their phones on. And then you just see them all go down. And I sometimes do that. But although, to be fair, I haven't done that in ages. But I missed that. Maybe I should do that again.
Yeah, bring it back.
Yeah.
When I'm there, I'm afraid to open a packet of sweets because it's rustling.
You're so self-conscious.
Yeah.
You're trying to be quick. You're I either be loud or I'd be quick.
Yeah. Or wait for a dead loud action scene. But the moment you open it is when the action scene stops and you're like...
Or then they go over the floor and you're like, ah!
But it's... unfortunately, you can't anticipate sometimes how badly behaved a person is going to be.
Yeah.
Shocking sometimes.
And that's wherever you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can pick and choose screenings though, and think about when might be quieter and when might be more of an. I mean, we have that. We're lucky enough that because mostly our shifts are at night, you can kind of go to morning screens at places and sit and see things. If I
morning screen, I've never been to the cinema in the AM.
And most people think that same way. So if you think in that sense,
no, but I'd like to.
Well, then they're quiet.
So that's the time to go.
We don't do morning screenings though.
No, midday though.
Midday.
Midday.
And the alternative and different things.
I quite like the Fast and the Furious movies.
Yeah, I don't mind them.
But
I
would not. I don't want to sit in an audience of Fast and the Furious fans. and that's terrible because I'm a fan of those movies.
Yeah.
But I don't anticipate a good time with those films
in the audience.
Yeah, but they'll all pile in the first week and then it'll get quieter. So
yeah, true.
Yeah.
So pretty much it. Before we go, the story that I was going to bring. Yes. I had a story, and then something else popped up this morning. Like, this is my story. So this is my kind of headline. I've not looked this up. You're going to have to pull this up in a minute. So this was the headline. Pilot sucked out of plane window as cabin crew held onto his ankles.
What?
All right, there we go. I'm Googling it right now. Sucked out of... Oh, it already knows.
It already knows.
Already knows.
I'm sure there's a picture somewhere.
Oh, look at him!
No! Oh, damn cookies.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, like for real.
That is, he's fully vertical.
Oh, my God.
Horizontal, even.
You're joking.
So let's read the...
Of course it's British Airways. What's that?
Why is there a lady holding a tit?
That's not... No,
no, that's it. Damn ads.
A pilot for British Airways was sucked out of the cockpit window of his plane after the glass window panes shattered, with a member of the cabin crew only able to hold on to him by his ankles until the plane landed. So what, he did the whole flight out the window? How far was the flight?
What
happened in 1990? So why is that? Why did I get that this morning?
Because it's a recycled news article from somewhere, probably. What is the date on the article? Today!
So why is this? Oh, that's interesting.
Clickbait, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is
what me. I didn't, to be fair, no, I didn't click on it.
Ah.
I'll let you click on it.
I went looking for it. I didn't
True.
I didn't succumb to the sponsored ad.
Right, so
that is
nuts.
Questions. Why didn't he have his seatbelt on?
And is that the actual pic? That's not something else. That's not. No one's got a camera in there. Hold on a minute. Wait there. Let me just take a photo. Look at this. So what was the question? Sorry.
Why didn't he have a seatbelt on? Why is he flying without a seatbelt?
Don't they 30 minutes into the flight? So, like, we take our seatbelts off after we...
Yeah.
Don't they?
I don't.
What, even when they tell you can?
I live in fear, man. We're not meant to be up
Look at
there.
these different photos it's showing now of all the people out the window.
Has he been,
What's that blood?
Has he been sick?
Blood, yeah.
Oh, I thought he'd been sick.
Tim's face. You would be, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
God, motion sickness. Yeah, Tim's face repeatedly hit the structure.
The front of the plane was damaged and covered in blood after Tim's face repeatedly hit
we all laughed, but
God.
this is horrifying.
Yeah,
wow.
That is
oh my God.
Nightmare fuel. That's Did he survive then? He's all right.
Yeah, he survived. Yeah,
oh, that's good.
Someone held up his ankles until they landed.
How? Imagine the strength you would need.
If it was 1990, though, I mean, he might be dead now.
Maybe.
The shot, I mean, if you'd lived through that, I don't think your brain and body would be able to cope for years afterwards.
True.
You'd be just living in fear.
Imagine 1990s.
Plus, if he smacked on the head a bunch of times as well.
A fitter had used the wrong belt to secure the windscreen 24 hours before the flight.
Wow.
So it was a maintenance error.
Oh. I bet he got sacked.
Oh, he stayed with BA until 2003 when his head fell. His head finally gave in and fell off his shoulder.
And then it's just ads.
Spam. That's a good way to end.
Yeah, but man sucked out the plane.
Not for him.
Well, thanks for joining us, lads. It's been insightful. I feel we got the gist of what's going on with you guys, and good luck for the future.
Thank you very much for having us.
No worries.
Cheers.
Thank you. So there you go, guys. Straight from the horse's mouth. Times are tough. If you want to help, go to your local cinema. Ticket prices are down. The films are there. All you have to do is go. Thanks again for tuning in. If you want to get in touch with us here at the podcast, you can email us podcast@behindthenoise.net. I am at Marc Farquhar on Twitter and Instagram. I am the Marc Farquhar on Facebook. Get in touch. Let us know what you think. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, episode over. See ya!